What's going on? Peace to the family out there. You're now tuned into G Consciousness Live. Make sure I'm putting out my sound is putting out right. Mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check. Make sure this sound is correct. Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. All right, mic check, mic check. Hold on, y'all. Mic check. Can y'all hear me out there? Sound good? All right, cool, cool, cool. I don't know why it ain't coming on this on my phone. Check this out real quick. I don't hear nothing on my phone. Cool, cool, cool. All right, I see it now. All right, so cool, family. Make sure y'all share this and on y'all pages. I would greatly appreciate that if y'all shared it on y'all pages, and where we can work a little bit overtime. The devil will always stay on the grind, so we got to be on the grind too. So make sure y'all share. That way, people can come and watch. And if you're willing, if you want to join in the conversation, you can definitely put your link in the email in the chat, and I'll add you to the conversation. Oh man. So we're gonna be talking about. Excuse me. We're gonna be talking about today. In God we trust, and basically in regards to the beast system and what we see on our dollar. And when we say in God we trust, or when our dollar says in God we trust, what do we actually mean by that? What is that talk? What is that talking about? I'd like to hear from the people just as well as some of the brothers I'm gonna bring in here that I'm gonna add to the conversation, and also screen share some stuff just as well. Let me see if I can get some of these brothers in here. Let me see. All right, so Mac Thomas here. You can put your matter of fact. Let me look you up. I might already have you in here because I think I do. All right, Mac Thomas. I sent you an invite so you can check the back room. What's going on, William? A Dog, what's happening? What's happening, Alan? So I definitely put you in the chat. What's going on, Megalodon 415? Let me. I'm all in here in the chat room. I'm under the wrong profile. Hold on. All right, that's what's up right there. All right, cool. I'm up under the right profile now. All right, cool. So peace to the brother Issa. So I sent out those invites, and mainly I wanted to get off into because I'm kind of getting sick of people not realizing about the conspiracy especially when we talk to atheists and when we talk to other people. But there's definitely a conspiracy that is there from early on in antiquities or in the ancient times just as well that we got to look at. And I think that people are not looking at that. You know what I'm saying? As far as what we see in Genesis chapter 10 and also Genesis chapter 11. And I think because people want to preserve themselves, one of the things that they, have in common is that they utilize what's in their vicinity in order to control certain things within their boundaries or trade with other people. And some of these things that we see that they have taken from other people, even out of their boundaries of what their family produced in their tribes back in the ancient times. And they have used these things in order to civilize themselves, and also through ways of trade. And so, this elite system they have a common goal, and it's mainly beneficiary to them. Beneficial to them. That's what it's mainly is doing. And we think it's for us, but it's not really for us. It's really for them, and it's for their families. So when you talk about governments or states being poorly ran, it's because of the government. It's because of the people that has these ties with among these elites, that the elite promised them some type of security, but when it comes to their state, they use up all the resources and cause the people to be categorized in these categories, and they never prevail in. And they give you just enough to where you can come back for more. And that's what's happening, to where if we give them all, then they can establish their own, and they don't have to come back to us. And they don't have to come back to us, so we'll just give them enough to keep them coming back, to keep them oppressed, or to keep them put some type of interest on these people to where we can keep them borrowing. So this is what's really going on around here. And so I want to bring out a couple of things to where I think that the scriptures actually show you what's going on within this system, within this beast system. And they say, in God we trust. What God is they talking about? Do we trust in that God? Do we trust in that system? And to be honest, I think that we have trusted in that system, because when we look at the dollar, it is a promissory note. It's not really worth nothing. There's not no money. There's not no product that's behind that but their word. So we have to trust in that word. So when it says in God we trust, is we're trusting in their word that they're going to perform what they say this dollar's supposed to mean, or this currency supposed to mean. And so we trust that. We get paper checks every Friday, or we get stuff sent in our bank account by the push of a button. But in reality, if something chaotic was to happen on this earth, will they perform the duties that needs to be done as far as that trust that we see? So you have to trust in that God. You have to trust in that system. And so I think that that's the problem there. When you talk about what do you have in order for you to survive in this world, what are you producing? What is your family producing? What is their trade? Are they producing any type of produce, far as anything production, far as agriculture? Do they have any minerals or anything that's precious that can cause them to have some type of gain? Are they carpenters? Are they blacksmiths? What type of, do they make any type of beer? What do they produce? What is their production within this society? And if you don't have nothing to gain or nothing that you can produce in this society, then you have to trust in this system, this promissory note. So when something do happen that's catastrophic, you don't really have anything that you can trade because your dollar is not worth anything. So you have to trust that it is worth something. So in God we trust. So I think this is the whole thing that we have to look at, and this is the beast system. And so I made a statement the other day when I said that Egypt was a part of this system. I'm standing by that. I'm standing on that. No matter how great you guys think Egypt was, and they was great, but Egypt is in that category. Why? Because we can see their failure, how what made them fall. And one of the things that we see was the lust of the flesh, the pride of life, and the lust of the eyes. We see the pride that was in Egypt, and we see the same thing that the nations did is what Egypt did, coming up out of this mystery Babylon system, or this religious system that we see that is seated on top of the beast, the governments of the world. So it's this religious way that the government or the system or the beast is born out of, this controlling the beast system. And I don't think there's no book like the Bible that reveals the scheme that we see within these different areas. So they say, well, G Consciousness, why do you choose to look at the Bible, knowing that you know some of the history that we see that took place, as well as the history that we see in Sumer and Kemet? Why do I choose the Bible? Because I believe that the Bible exposes the beast system. And when you look in Kemet, it does not expose that system. It upholds that system. When you look in Sumer, it does not expose that system. It upholds that system. As well as when you look into Europe, the same thing. Or you look into Asia, it's the same thing. And so when you start dealing with the Bible exposes this system for what it is. I've heard Garfield, I've heard Alan Brown say that there is a book of Revelations that's out there that we deal with this in Kemet. They have yet to bring forth that evidence. I have yet to see it yet. I'm still waiting on it. I've been waiting on it for years now. They have not produced that evidence. And then when you look at certain things that they bring out, this evidence that's brought forth is dated later than what we actually see when we look at the book of Daniel or the book of Revelations. For those that try to shoot for a later date of Daniel, then you have to question the book of Ezekiel, which mentioned Daniel. What's the date on that? So Daniel mentions this system or these amalgamation of people. Now, one thing that I want to make clear here is that we call it the beast system because when we look at the nations are looked at as being beasts. Why? Because they live like beasts. They eat off each other. So when we look at Israel, Israel was taught to partake of clean things, of clean animals that did not eat or feed off each other, but fed up off of the natural way or the natural order, off of fruits and stuff like that. Now, one might say, well, when I say natural order, we might say, well, it's natural for a lion to eat of flesh. But in reality, we don't believe from the beginning that this lion actually ate flesh all his life, that was not the natural order, scientifically and also biblically. So when we look at it, right, the beast or the beasts of the world, they feed up off of each other. They devour each other. So the beast is looked at as symbolically as being the nations. So this is why Israel is told not to partake of these beasts that just eat anything or devour anything, because that's the way of the world. But they're told to partake of things that are clean and be these clean animals, so to speak, because Israel was looked at as being clean. And so this is symbolic. This is why when we get to Genesis Acts chapter 10, we see that there's something symbolic or figurative there that's talking about clean beast and unclean beast. That God is able to clean that is unclean, which is considered to be looked at the Gentiles that he was going to bring in by way of Israel and by way of the gospel that Israel was going to teach them or preach unto them. And so God said, why callest thou unclean what God has clean? So God is looking at the Gentiles as being all manner of four-footed beasts, and him cleansing them by the word and by the gospel and sealing them with the Holy Spirit. So that's what we see. So when we look at why it's called the beast system, it's because we're being taught in schools that we are beasts, that we are animals. And so this justifies us to act like animals and have the animal instinct to kill each other, to feed up off of each other. And that's the way of the unclean beast. It feeds off of each other. It eats anything just to survive. So you are this type of beast, and they look at you as that type of beast that's unclean. Right? So we have to look at those things. The way of life, the dominance of certain animals that want to be dominant over another animal. That's what the whole thing is looking at. You are what you eat, and that's what we're looking at, right? So let's look at something. As I stated before, I believe that the Bible actually reveals this type of way. And make sure y'all share this to y'all pages so we can get some more people listening in. And as I stated before, I added certain people to the conversation already. I'm waiting for them to come in. Excuse me, as well, if you guys want to come in just as well too. So when we look at In God We Trust, we look at this system, right? This system is being revealed in the Bible. This is why you got Garfield A. Reed and Alan Brown, the Dagger Squad. They're always trying to say, or trying to go against Daniel, or trying to go against Revelations. Why? Because they don't want to expose the system, because the book exposes the system. So they're agents, and they don't even realize it, that they're agents. They're agents for the beast system. So the very system that they think is ungood, I mean, it's not good, or this, you know, or that they trying to expose to be bad, is really the very system that's exposing the worldly way. So they're agents for the beast system and don't even know it. They're working with the enemy and think that they're working against the enemy, because they think that because we're teaching this system or exposing this system, that we're that actual enemy. But that's not the case there. What's going on, Brother Jay?
Yo, what's going on, bro?
I don't know how long you've been listening in. You just got in or what?
Yeah, I just got in. I was catching a little bit when you was going over. I believe you was talking about the meaning behind the dietary law that I was given.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And mainly what I was just discussing was In God We Trust, or the beast system, on how the Bible actually exposes this system that we see today. I don't know if you want to elab on that real quick, but you can do so. I'm gonna mute my mic.
No, you can go ahead, man, and I'll jump in after I, listen to enough.
All right. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold on for a minute. I'm gonna hit this YouTube real quick link. Right, I'm gonna play one of your songs, and after I play one of your songs, introduce yourself, because I'm gonna take a quick break here. I got to do something real quick. So,
all right, cool.
Let me grab this song real quick. Let's see. What hold on. You know what? It's like you cleaned that page off, I think. That's the wrong page. There it is right there. All right, cool. We're going to kick it off with this right here. Hold on. Let me go backtrack on that. Let's get this right here. Where's this at? Hold on for a minute. Let me turn this up and make sure this is loud. I don't think that's loud enough. That ain't, you can't hear that, can you?
Yeah, I hear it a little bit. It sounded like whatever you did, it went like down.
Yeah, I gotta let me hook this up so I can play this a little bit louder here. It's up a little bit loud.
Everybody on the phone. We gonna go side to side.
Hold on.
Everybody on the phone. We gonna go side to side.
Can you hear that?
Yep.
All right, let me start this off. Can you hear it pretty good?
Yeah, can you turn it up a little bit? That's good right there.
Everybody's on the floor. Having a good time, yeah. Better act like you know. We don't got no drugs, yeah. But we living it up, yeah. Listen to that DJ. That boy stretching it up, yeah. So right. The music feels so good, yeah. It makes you wanna get down, down. And dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight. And dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight. And dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight. And dance. Makes you wanna get down. Everybody on the floor. We gon' run side to side. Nobody leaves the door till we get done tonight. Everybody on the floor. We gon' run side to side. Nobody leaves the door till we get done tonight. We don't got no drugs, yeah. But we living it up, yeah. Listen to that DJ. That boy scratching it up, yeah. So right. The music feels so good, yeah. Makes you wanna get down, down. And dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight. And dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight. And dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight. And dance. Makes you wanna get down, down. Find this way, we can let the whole world know that Jesus is Lord. In the best place, this music this music, and the best part of this music, we can let the whole world know that Jesus is Lord. We don't got no drugs, yeah, but we living it up, yeah. Listen to that DJ, that boy scratching it up, yeah. So right, the music feels so good, yeah. Makes you wanna get down, dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight, dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight, dance. Makes you wanna get down tonight, dance. Makes you wanna get down, dance. Oh, stand by him, baby. Dance. Dance. Oh, stand by him, baby. Dance. Dance. Oh, stand by him, baby. Dance. This music, this music, this music, this music, we can let the whole world know that Jesus is Lord. I just want to take this time to personally thank you from the bottom of my heart, taking the time and enjoying this project and supporting this project. I'm Jay the producer. This is MIM. Music is medicine.
Hey, Brother Jay.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I was gonna say, go ahead and introduce yourself so they can know who you
Hey,
are,
yo.
man, and know who you are.
No problem. Well, it's like you call me Brother Jay. That's the name I go by when I'm dealing with the scriptures. Anything musically, most people know me by Jay the producer, as you guys can see on the screen and all up on the left side, on the right side of the screen. I'm a music producer. That's what I do every day. Songwriter, engineer, ex-military, Air Force guy. And, now I just do this music thing and the scripture thing full time. So, so that's kind of brief history of me, man. Anybody, that's out there doing music and stuff like that, of course, I ain't down with the whole hatred for the other nations type stuff. But if it's some cool music and stuff like that, or if you need production or need mixing or whatever the case is, you guys go to my website, www.jaytheproducer. You guys can see on the screen how to spell Jay the Producer, the letter J, THE producer.com. And click on, there's a little badge on the right side, lower right side of my intro video that says Sound Better Pro. Click on that, you see my prices, and then, hit me up, and my contact information is there. Or you can go to the bottom of the website on the left side, and you see my information there. Feel free to hit me up. Don't hesitate. Everything comes straight to my phone. So, and then we see what we can do. So that's kind of brief history or a little introduction of me.
Right. Can you hear good, or is there an echo? Do you hear an echo, or is it good?
Sound good to me.
All right, cool. All right, so let me go ahead and proceed on. Okay, so let's go back over here to let's grab this real quick, pull this up. Yeah, so as I was saying before, we can see that the Bible actually exposes this system. And this book, man, it gives you the wisdom and the understanding on how to overcome the beast system. And that can be proven just by pulling up simple text. And as I expounded on some things last night, and I'm gonna go get a little bit more in depth tonight on some of those things. I went to Revelations 17, Now, I started from Genesis chapter 12 or 11. Matter of fact, here's where it starts at right here. This is where it starts at in this chapter right here. Because there's an introduction, you know, a very thought that's given to Adam that is a different order than from Adam, than what Adam was given. So this is when we say a new world order. Because we look at world in the Greek, it's cosmos, right? And what it means is, well, that's one of the definition, and besides when we look at other definitions, but it means a social system. And so when we say a new world order, we're saying a new world social system apart from what Adam was given. So when we look at the text, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden, right? And it says, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God have said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Now, there's always some type of truth that is there when you're talking to somebody that is a deceiver, because he deceive you with some truth, but there is some but there's a lot lies that's there just as well. And so when you look at it, we're looking at an introduction, right? Another order, a new order that comes in that is beside that of what the Creator has given Adam, which is the administrator, and he's administering to the very things that have dominion over the very things that's in his physical realm. So one of the ways to get you outside of, or to get you outside of those instructions that you was given of that first order is to introduce something differently, another whole order. And so when we look at it, Adam himself is attached to this physical world, and he's given these instructions that God has given him, or the Creator has given him, right? And so he goes beyond that. And so one of the things is that the serpent does is come and mess with his thought process, because his thought process, if it's not correct and it's not lining up, it can cause him or cause his physical realm to be affected just as well. So this is what the text is basically talking about. It's spirit, and it's also physical, because we're dealing with tangible things here. We're dealing with information that's being introduced to him that can cause his world to be that of good and bad, duality, ups and downs. See, this is where ups and downs is introduced right here. It's here where ups and downs is introduced at. Whereas before he only seen good. Only good was there. God said that and it was good. It was so, it was good. So the redactor or the scribe is trying to show us or point to us where it went bad at. It went bad because of not following instructions. This is a life lesson story right here, narrative. A life lesson, narrative. Because we can look at in our natural lives that if our mentality or our mental condition is not well, it affects our very reality or the nature of reality that we see now today. So Adam was told something different that would affect him physically. So he was told something, a spiritual concept that would affect him physically. And that's what happened here. So if you're not, if you're detached spiritually from the creator source, then it affects you physically, because you are a physical being and you're in a physical world, or what we call a natural world. So you consist of, or what's housed in your body is your essence, or the spirit of you that's attached to the soul, which is the mind, which is the will, which is your emotions, your feelings, your what is it? Passions, desires, all of those things that are attached to the spirit, which is the intellect or the mind. And so it's housed in a physical body. So when you are detached from the vessel, which is the physical body, then the body is not quickened. I mean, the body it goes to the grave, but the spirit and the soul is that is something that lives, that is conscience, that lives after the physical body is in the dirt. But these things should have been cohesive. Adam would have never died had he not partook of this lifestyle that he took of. So this is a lesson that I'm saying, that if one is not conscious of instructions, then he can cause his whole paradigm or what he see to be corrupted, because he's connected to that. He's connected to the physical world as well as the spiritual world. So if I tell my son, hey, stop doing that, and he doesn't stop doing it, he can cause the other free moral agents that's in that house to be affected by what he's doing, as well as me. I'm the head of this household. So if I make a choice and decision, and that choice and decision is not correct, it can cause an effect on my family just as well as those that are who I'm around. That's the way in the order of things. We're all connected on this earth. We're all connected. They may try to tell you that there is a disconnection because they might look at your phenotypes. But in reality, we all are connected, and we all have advantages and disadvantages due to the fact of the fall. So where you think you may have an advantage over somebody, your advantage might also be a disadvantage, because they might have an advantage somewhat to speak. There's goods and there's bads that's there. And that's what we see in the nature of reality. I don't know if you want to add to that, Brother Jay.
No, I'm actually glad you mentioned about the whole advantages and disadvantages. Hold on, I gotta add this.
Let me mute my mic.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned, the disadvantages and advantages that all men are under, or over in certain cases, due to the fall. And that's where, when you read Romans 5, I always love to read that scripture all the time, to show the bigger picture for those that may be thinking everything is solely about the 12 tribes. But then you look at the bigger picture and see what happened to all creation, and these ups and downs, these wars, anything you could think of that's evil, all started here, all started after Adam, and the decision that he made to disobey the order God gave to him, and therefore all men, Jew and Gentile alike, have inherited a sinful nature, which with that nature comes greed. So you have your wars and all that for oil and all these different resources. So you don't care who you take from, for the love of money. You have the pure hatred, because hatred is one of the other workings of the flesh that comes with the sinful nature. So you have these different wars because somebody just simply may not like a certain people. So they'll take them, put them in slavery and all this other stuff. For whatever the motive is behind it, that's evil. All comes from Adam. That's where it started at. So I'm glad that you mentioned, what happened there at the beginning as far as advantages, disadvantages, etc., because that's where everything that has gone bad with creation started there. And then we have to start there when we get into the subject dealing with, salvation, Christ, what he came to reconcile, when they say he came to reconcile all things back to the Father. All this stuff is interconnected. That's why you read Romans 5. It's comparing Christ, the last Adam, to the first Adam, and giving that comparison, because the first Adam affected all men, and Christ affected all those that believe on him of all nations, fulfilling the promise made to Abraham. So that's all I want to add to that part.
So we can see that there's something that's been introduced here when we look at this. And when we look at the introduction of this new way or this order, we see right from the get-go, Adam is given this thought, or he's given what you call how do you say it? This some type of thought to cause him to be curious. Now, this is what we mean when we say the New World Order, because right then we see that he's been given something to cause him to be separate and apart from God, his creator. You should be as gods, knowing good and evil. And then he's told that you should not surely die. But when you don't obey instructions, it can cause you to be cut off. It can cause you to be spiritually dead or spiritually discerned, because you cut off from the source because of by way of not being obedient. And it causes an effect in the physical world, because you're given dominion and you are a minister or administrator of that. So you should be a good steward over that. And if you don't, then you cause your household to be up under attack. And this is what happened here. This opened up the door for the attack. See, your thought process can open up the door for you to be attacked. And you might not come up out of that if you open that door up. Everybody in that house gonna be sick. Everything that you attached to is gonna be sick. This is why when we look at the curse that's on the ground, it affects also the animals, because guess what? They partake of that same system of that ground. So if Eve is feeling something and bringing forth harsh labor and childbearing, it's because the ground is not yielding forth its full strength, and therefore she won't get her proper nutrients. So she that she can have a birth that is not in hard labor. If anybody know what I'm saying scientifically, because you know, if you're not getting your prenatal pills as you supposed to, or those supplements, then you can have a hard labor. They call it a dry labor. So those supplements of what we just got helps a little bit, you know, because the ground is not yielding forth its full strength. So you get a little bit of that, of those vitamins pertaining to your flesh, right? To help you move around in this world. But it's in hard labor. It's even when you talk about yielding, tilling the ground, which you come from, and you are connected to the ground. But if you're not, if you're tilling the ground and it's not yielding forth its full strength, then you're getting half of the supplements that you actually need. So now you in the position, or you positioned yourself to where you're not even connected to the very world that you've been given dominion over. So when that happens, it causes a lot of perverseness. Why? Because now when men put forth their hand to till that ground and it won't yield forth its full strength, and it brings forth thorns, problems, and thistles, and all types of things that you're not used to, you're going to find someone that can toil you for you. They can bring that labor forth for you, so you won't have to work so hard. And this is what we call a system of servitude. This is what we call people. Some people just lazy, and they say, well, if I can find this person to do the work for me that I don't have to do, then I can save on time, because I'm limited as being one person. And if I can get multiple people to do the work, then I can live longer and preserve myself and my family and preserve some of my strength, because I got these workers right here working for me. So the system is already set up. And then make it so bad, if I get conditioned to where I'm strong enough, I can even go into somebody else's land and take their stuff. Because guess what? It was introduced to me in the first place that I can be as God. And I ain't got to listen to God. I ain't got to listen to the source. So guess what? I can have that mindset overall and that thought process. I can go into somebody else's land and take what they got because I need that to preserve my family. So when does it stop? When does it stop? So then we got the very people in this world that's saying that they are the leaders of this world, doing the same thing psychologically to those that are being oppressed or to those that are under the oppression. So if your leadership is not right, then you're not right. If the head not right, then the body is sick. So then we got these brothers that's coming in that's saying that, okay, we're Israel, we're the teachers, doing the very same thing, if not worse than the nations that's surrounding them. Making the house of God a house of merchandise, a natural house rather than a spiritual house to build people up and teach people man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out the mouth of God. And if you are the image of God or the vessel of God, you should be teaching people about God himself as being in the image of God. Just as Christ, who came to be in the image of God and in the word of God, because God is represented by the word. And the word is the very image of God. You wouldn't even know he was God except he spoke the word and he demonstrated by his power. So this is the system that we're talking about. So when you say in God we trust, what are you really seeing is there? What are you really trusting? What are we really trusting in? Do we really have what we say that we got? Because we're trusting in a system to where if something happened today, catastrophic, we can lose everything. And this promissory note that we have doesn't mean anything. So really, to be honest, when we look at it, we can say that the introduction to the mark of the beast is at the very door. Why? Because I got you, to be honest, because you don't have anything. So if you're living by bread alone, I got you now. I got you. Your mind is gone. Because I can get you to buy, sell, and trade. I can get you to buy, sell, and trade by you taking on this thought process or this mindset. That's all I gotta do. If I get your mind right, I can get you to take the mark of the beast. You already at the very introduction of that mark. I can get you to take the mindset of the new world order. I can get you by way of entertainment. I can get you by way of how do you say it, of terrorism. Because in order to make you feel secure, I have to introduce you to security. And that security allows me to go into some of your privacy. I can get you by way of entertainment, by way of the cameras that's in your phone, the PlayStations, because this is the all-seeing eye in reality, because this is intel. This is intel right here. I want to be as God, they say. Well, God is omnipresent. The only way for something that's other than God to be omnipresent or omniscient is by way of intel. Well, how do you get intel? You need agents. So we got agents that's out here that's working for demonic forces, that's working for that demonic entity that the ancestors was divining to when they thought that they was divining to the Most High God. They was invoking or calling upon or sacrificing to devils. And the devils would give them information as they gave Egypt information when they went into those primordial mounds or pylons to divine into that god, or when Assyria divined into Asar or Ashur, or when the Sumerians divined into their gods, Utu, or when they divined into Shemish or Shamash or Enki, or these different gods. Because you got to understand, these different gods that they called are really titles that God was once called, and they took him and stripped him of those titles and began to call their ancestors or these divine deities or fallen deities by the name of the Creator. The Creator can only, I mean, the people only try to copy what the Creator has established. So we're talking about the beast system, right? This is an open hangout.
Oh, well, shoot, in that case.
Oh, you hear Kevin?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm finna mute my mic. Go ahead, brother.
All right, so it's a couple of things that you said that was interesting in regards to the beast system and in relation to everything that you said and how everything works. If you think about it, the beast system itself is basically like you said, our mind, our will, and our emotions taking shape into a governance that adheres to the objective of Satan. In other words, if we simply kept what was given to us in the garden, or the law or the commandment that was given to us to keep, where the mark of the beast will actually go. If we were to have kept something, it's like this. When space is not occupied, or the saying that says an idle mind is the devil's playground. In order for an idea of your mind and your will and your emotions, of your flesh, to rise up and actually take advantage, is for that which should have been there to occupy that space and to basically carry you through to make sure that you're doing what's correct. Is this in the Bible? It certainly is. For instance, Laurent, if I were to ask you, in the book of Revelation, where does it say that the mark of the beast will be? I know you got your mic muted, you're doing some other things there, but the mark of the beast actually says it will take the mark on their right hand and on their forehead. Now, here's the thing that you want to pay attention to. Anybody that has their Bible, if you go to Deuteronomy chapter 6, and you go to verse 8, when he gives them the commandments to the children of Israel, listen carefully to what the Most High says to keep his commandments and where to put them. And it also flows into what Laurent was saying about how this protects your household as well. So if you look at Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 8, it says, and thou shalt bind them as a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thy eyes. And you shall write them upon the posts of thy house and upon thy gates. What is he talking about here? He is talking about that the righteous word or the commandment that was given to the children of Israel, even in this case, to those who are adopted into the family of Israel, meaning Christians alike, that they have to occupy their right hand or their hand. Basically, the hand means anything that you do. And on the frontlet of your eyes or your forehead, meaning the main idea that is the guide for everything that you do. That has to be governed and occupied by the commandment of God or the word of God. He says this again, actually. If you look in Deuteronomy chapter 4, this even gets even more crazy. Because if you recall earlier, Laurent, you mentioned that when we do these things, or when someone does something that is unrighteous, it actually influences those who are around you. And when you pay, if you keep that in mind, even when Christ says things simple as "Let your light shine," "Let you are the salt of the earth," that actually goes back to the law and commandment of God. Basically, that which He commands us, which is to be righteous and to follow His Son. We must keep that in the forefront of our head, and we must have that mark on our hand. Because if you look in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 6, it says, "Therefore, keep therefore and do them. For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear these statutes and say, surely this is a great nation and a wise and understanding people." So as you can see, the very detrimental thing that takes place when you do not keep what's the commandment or the objective of God in your forehead, when you do not work with your right hand, which is the mark where it will go another place, and what the commandment and everything God said. And if you do not live in front of the nations with His wisdom and understanding, the exact opposite will happen, which will be the curses that were talked about earlier. If you accept the mark of the beast, which is in your forehead, if you accept the mark of the beast, which is your right hand, and if you do iniquity and transgress, you're also going to influence the next man to do iniquity and transgress. And if you look at it in history, this has actually been a hindrance to man. Think about it. The very idea of us coming together under the understanding of God is so that we can be one people under God. But if you notice, everything that we've done has been a divide and conquer within ourselves of our mind, will, and emotions. Think about it. Adam and Eve. The law was transgressed. It caused a division between husband and wife. Cain and Abel. The law was transgressed. It caused a division among the family within itself because of what Adam did. Now, if you keep going forward, if you go to the Tower of Babel, the Most High said, look, there's nothing that they can't do that they couldn't do once they put their minds together. So what was the further division? Transgression of the law. The division began when our languages were separated. And when our languages are separated, that goes into what you said earlier on, when you were mentioning that which we will do to ourselves actually cause us to have advantages and disadvantages over one another. So if a man migrates over to this land and he has an advantage economically because of the resources he may have in his land, it may hinder another man from having resources and things economically in his land. Therefore, because of the differences in their ways and their language, it's going to cause them to fight because they no longer see themselves as one another. The fact that they speak a different language in itself is a deception that they are different, but they have no idea that they came from the same God and the intention was them for them to be good because they are man made in the image of God. So it's kind of wild how when history plays out, it actually confirms exactly what the Bible says as far as that further division. Now you got people in Russia who are battling against each other because of what group or sect that they came from, or in the Middle East over what? The religions. And as we further do these things and transgress the law of God, there are more ideas and more insertions, spiritual systems and religions that further divide us of the same thing, even among Christianity itself. You know, you got the Black Hebrew Israelites, you know, different groups, the Nation of Islam, and so it's further division that's happening. It's the same curse. But unless we go back to the originality, back to the one who made us, who sent us out and created us in the first place, and say, okay, what is it that we're supposed to be doing? Then we're supposed to take that and put that in our forehead and in our right hand. Because if you don't have that space occupied or those spaces occupied, guess what? You go to Revelation, the mark of the beast is going to be what's going to be on your right hand and your forehead. It's going to occupy the space that you should have filled up, which is the commandment of God. I mean, that's all I got to say right now.
Right. So when we look at it, right, and reason why when we look at it, okay, there's a spiritual thing that's going on and there is a physical thing that's going on. So when we talk about the mark, right, that he put in their forehead and their hand, right, now when we look at it as far as from God's aspect, it's always dealing with the mentality. If you're not receiving the instructions of God and not walking in those commandments that he commanded you to do or instructed you to do, you know, what happens is that you take on, you go up under this physical type of this servitude, basically, or this how do you say it, the system. Now, if you yield yourself to the system, to the beast system. Now, and when you look in the New Testament, you look at Revelation when it talks about the marking of the beast in the hand and the forehead, it's basically also literal too, because we can look at the third as a literal mark, and then we look at when we look at the cultural context as well as in Deuteronomy, they actually use this as literal too, as well as spiritual, because it's dealing with your mentality. And you have, if you take on that mentality of that beast way or that beast mentality, then you're going to receive the literal mark, because it's going to play out within your natural world. Because this is what we talk about: buy, selling, or trading. You have to take on that type of mentality. In God we trust, just to buy, sell, and trade is there. So the Bible gives us the very instructions and the commands in order to overcome that very type of way. When it says man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out the mouth of God. When we see Christ himself was able to suffice 5,000 people with, I believe, five loaves of bread and I believe 2 fishes, and still had fragments left over. What is he telling you there? He's telling you that he is able to suffice and able to be that supplement that you need in order to survive, because he realized that we are but flesh, and he understands that our flesh also survives by way of the fruits of the tree, or the fruits of those trees that was in the garden. For as when he says you may eat of all the fruit of the tree except this one tree, because those fruits preserve the body. They're supplements for the body. That's why he said man shall not, he says what he did was he said let us take this tree and move this tree or guard this tree and keep the way of this tree, that man don't partake of this tree and live forever. Why should he have this tree with a messed up mentality, with a corrupt spirit, and live forever in the flesh? So that's what the enemy wants to do. He wants to preserve the flesh with the mentality of being sinful apart from God. So he wants to live forever apart from God in the flesh.
And in that condition, if you think about it though, Laron, that's a cancer. Because in that, if you understand in biology, cancers are dangerous because they're cells that constantly divide, but they don't die. They constantly divide, they constantly grow, they cause damage to everything that is in or around, but they don't die. Why? Because their telomeres don't run out like normal cells do. See, a regular cell in your body, it goes on to live, and because of its telomeres run down, eventually you will get old, and eventually you will expire. But can you imagine something that is dangerous, is in your world, is metastasizing, and then it already is dangerous because of what it is by nature. But then at the same time, if it lives forever, could you imagine that? So, I mean, I understand fully why the Most High will do that.
Right. D-Red, did you want to speak on something?
Yeah, baby. What it do, man? I'm just listening. I'm just
Brother.
listening. I'm just listening to y'all go in on the beast system, and it's really about time we start talking about this type of stuff. And as people that believe in the scriptures, kind of pause the whole going at each other, because that's what the enemy wants. The house divided against itself can't stand. So when we going at each other, whether we trying to prove or disprove this, you know what I'm saying, or this aspect, the whole narrative is, if you believe in the scriptures at this particular point, you're under attack. Especially dealing with this so-called conscious community stuff. And it fits right into the narrative of the beast system. You see what I'm saying? Because if you're talking about the mark in the forehead and the hand, it's symbolic. Because most of the scriptures have dual meaning. It'll have an esoteric meaning and an esoteric meaning. So it'll be, you say, some people will say, if you the work of the hand, the actual mark, or actual chip. You know what I'm saying? To that degree, some people will say the right hand symbolizes work. You know, there's different schools of thought on what is meant by the right hand and the forehead. You know, of course, people say the mind, how you think. You know what I mean? So, but when you look at it, the prophetic end time scriptures as a whole, it talks about the falling away. And that's what we're dealing with right now. What we see what's going on in the so-called conscious community is a falling away. Everybody want to deal with everything but these scriptures, which can liberate our people. And I think it's important for us, you know what I'm saying, to what the scriptures tell you, to contest earnestly for the faith once delivered to the saints. I think it's important for us to come together as people that believe, that follow the same book, whether our interpretations may differ. That's something that we can debate once we've shown the power, because we as a people that follow the book can't expect people to follow us if they can't even see us getting along with one another, because that's when those people who have become the people who have fallen away, that's when those people get to use that to their advantage. You see what I'm saying? And contribute to the very New World Order agenda that LeBron is talking about.
Yeah, it's the work of the hand. You're right. It's definitely the work of the hand.
It is, but like I said, we got to start looking at it from a non-believer's viewpoint, and that's what I had to start doing. My chick had to tell me that. Tell me that. She said, if you didn't believe in the Bible and y'all saw how y'all was acting, would you believe? Would that be something that you would pursue? I said no. She said no. She said Christians going at Israelites and Israelites going at Christians is not going to bring nobody to the Bible. It's going to make them say they all believe in the same book and they can't get. That's she said, because she said whether they subscribe to Kemet or whether they just don't subscribe to nothing because they don't know anything about either. That's going to make them go look for something else. Because she said if you would do it, nobody's no better, no worse than you. So you know what I mean? So that's something that needs to be checked and, you know what I'm saying, put up for a later date. Because at this particular point, we got a real. I hate to use my black people as an enemy. You know what I'm saying? Because I work with, you know, in the community, I do stuff with a whole bunch of different groups. But for sake of a lack of a better word, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's just with information, we have an enemy. We have a bigger enemy than a Hebrew or a Christian or Seventh-day Adventist at this particular point. We have a bigger enemy. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That is seeking to change our change the hearts and minds of our people, turn them away completely from the scripture, not have an interpretation that we don't agree with, but turn them completely away. And I think as people who have voices, we're doing the people that believe in the scriptures a disservice by going at each other, thinking that we're proving something, but who are we? We're not proving nothing to nobody at this point, because everybody's looking at us crazy. And as you see, when them guys went up there, they all believed in the Bible, right? But they all had different interpretations of whatever. What did they get called? They all got called by one unified name. They all got called Hebrews. They would all get by your opponent, your true opponent. They're gonna classify all of y'all in the same group. It's just like black folks that be trying to say on one hand, I ain't black, I'm this, or I'm mixed, or I'm this, I'm that, right? But nigga, whenever get through, Tiger Woods can say he could blaze and all he want to, but what was put on his goddamn thing when his ass got arrested?
Like,
So again, we can all try to do whatever, but once we get together, they classify us as one collective. So beefing with a brother over his interpretation of the doc, you handle that after you handle them. You don't handle them and be trying to handle each other because now they get to use your division against you. They get to say, see, they get to, because they don't all believe each other. But it's like I'm gonna give an example. Jabari subscribes to what we consider Kemetic orthodoxy, right? Where he believes in that all of the other netters are the representation of a supreme being. But do you see the Amara squad attacking him?
mhm.
No.
But the only way you will have a unified front and bringing people to the understanding is by doing what we're doing now. You have to expose things such as this beast system. You have to expose some of these schools of thought that are out there. That when you uncover them and you put them in the light, and people will see them for what they truly are, then the ultimate thing they're going to ask themselves is, what do we do? What is the solution? So, for instance, like, you ever seen that movie Independence Day? Like, everybody had their differences as a nation, and even when the movie was focused in on America itself, everybody had their differences. You had the Jews, who was a scientist and his father. Then you had the people who were higher up in the military. Then you had the people that were lower in the military. You had Will Smith, who played a black pilot. You had this diversity. So the whole movie itself was trying to show that we can unify when there's a common enemy. And in this case, in the movie, it was an alien being from space. In the movie, I want people to misrepresent what was being said here. But in this case here, if we were to fully and thoroughly expose these systems, these beast systems, and what they're doing, what they're associated with, what they're talking about, or who is it that they're venerating or worshiping, or who is it that they get their wisdom from. Once you do that, people are going to see a collective like, oh, wow, what is this that we're dealing with? Because you know what? I would say that what you said was right, D-Red. Like, a lot of people would turn away from the Bible. A lot of people will turn away from the Bible when they see us fight like that. But yet, when a enemy is exposed and there's a problem that is there, I also seen the opposite, where a lot of people who aren't believers will come to us and say, what do we do? What do we do? What is this about? Why is it that they're venerating this? Why is it that this symbology has this? Why is it that the system, or the monetary system, or this beast system that we're talking about now, why is it that they're set up this way? And we can show them in the scriptures why they're set up that way. And I feel like that will get them on the bandwagon and them to focus on what really matters.
And I agree. But see, that's what we gotta start doing. You see what I'm saying? Like when we get on these shows, or if LeBron goes on whoever's major platform, we don't need to be. And he's with. I'm just making up something. If LeBron is on there, and freaking Tazariak is on there, and Michael Edwards is on there, LeBron has to keep his composure and make sure that he gets to show this power of the Bible, not the power of the Bible over Michael Edwards' interpretation. You see what I'm saying? It's just to show the power of the Bible. It's say, look, y'all saying the Bible ain't this, but the Bible talks about this. Since y'all talking about racism, white supremacy, the Bible pretty much talks about it. You want to talk about systems. We talking about what black folks are dealing with is a systematic problem. You see what I'm saying? The Bible talks about the beast system. You want to say the white man is the devil or the white man is a beast? Well, we deal with a beast system. Right. And we can show them how it's going to cover the whole earth. Everybody gonna be affected by it.
Right.
We can show that. And so it's our job to start showing that and show, well, you guys are participating in the beast system because this, and this. We see the scriptures prophesied that people were going to turn away from the scriptures. See, we can show you here, 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 and here. You see what I'm saying? That's when you got to start showing the power of the scriptures.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? We be missing opportunities because we want to score points with. I mean, people ain't gonna like what I say, but we say we don't give a damn about what some of these major platforms think and say, but we want their approval. See, we want somebody to say, "See, that's the Christian right there. That's my Christian right there. He know that scripture." Or we want somebody to say, "See, that's my Hebrew right there. My Hebrew." You see, we act like niggas that people ain't gonna like this, but as my boy Pimp C said, people ain't gonna like stuff sometimes. You see what I'm saying? We say we don't care about that type of stuff, but when we get on there and start bagging on one another, you know what that show? You want to be the man.
Yeah. I mean, the scriptures do say we war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers.
Exactly. So, exactly. So if we know, but who are we warring against? Who really has the spirit of the devil? Is it really your brother that got a different interpretation than you? You know what I'm saying? Some people say, well, yeah, because they say this. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You don't necessarily agree with it, but they in that book. If you sit down and reason with your brother, and y'all sit down and y'all talk, you guess what you might find out y'all got more in common than y'all got against one another. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So but at the same time, you know this dude that's throwing up the 666 sign, you know that dude is outright got the spirit of the devil.
Right.
So but we seem to seek the approval of those that got the spirit of Lucifer. We use it looks like we're seeking their approval over the approval of the Most High.
See, but people have spirituality all wrong. Like, for instance, when people say that person has a spirit or that person is working against the Most High, so that must be a devil in them. No, the devil is in all of us, if you think about it. The whole basis on what happened in that garden and what continues to happen with mankind is the fact that he's listening to his inner programming or his flesh. It is the flesh that is the enemy of God. Sure, we know that Lucifer or the rulers of darkness are against God himself, but the Bible says that the carnal mind is enmity against God. It cannot be subject to the law of God, nor the knee indeed can be. So when we fight with one another and we cause all these things, these divisions and stuff, and this, that, and the other, we have to remember this is what the curse was. The curse was transgression of the law means division of your own self, from your family, from your people, from mankind altogether. Like I said, I explained earlier, the transgression of the law earlier. It was Adam and Eve. It was a separation between them. Eve was beguiled by the serpent, and therefore she passed along that nature to her husband, and he bit and ate. And that's when the fall of man began. Cain and Abel. Abel was the one that offered his offering. Instead of Cain saying, I must learn in humility and know how to offer to the Most High, he decided to strike his brother. And then when you go further down the line, then you start to see who the father of war really is. The father of war isn't Ares. It isn't a spirit. It isn't this. I don't know if anybody's seen the movie Wonder Woman. That's really deep. If you remember in the movie Wonder Woman, eventually they did put a personify a antagonist because, of course, it's a Hollywood movie. But if you remember in that movie, for those who have seen it, it's spoiler alert, so go ahead and turn it off or pause the video or audio if you want to see the movie. But if you see that movie Wonder Woman, remember when she came up with those soldiers and she asked, I need to find Ares? And the guy was like, there is no Ares, but only man. He was like, the idea of war and division among all men is within men themselves. It's not within a God. It's not within a spirit. So as she went through the movie, she started to realize that she thought she killed Ares. And she looked around and she was like, they're not stopping. They're still fighting. And then the actual Ares came by and said, look, all I did was take advantage of what was in them. That's deep. I was like, whoa. I said, so the one who they were trying to blame along the movie as being the one that caused it in a spiritual sense, he says, no, it is your carnality that caused this. I just turned it and used it against them. It showed the woman who made the poison. And he says, whenever someone has an idea, I give them lane. And I just see if they step forward to see if they will do that. But if you look at it, that's exactly what the devil did with Eve. He says, did he in fact say that you shouldn't die? For the day that you eat of it, he knows that you will become gods and your eyes will be open. She said, okay. He didn't do jack. She believed it.
Hey, let me say this real quick because I want to put this out as a brief announcement. And I want to expose this because I don't know what it was, but that's just what it was. Okay, earlier today, right? I want to say prior to, before me making this hangout, Michael Edwards. Let me show you. Let me tell y'all what this brother did. And I'm not sure if he intended to do this or what it was, but he hit me in the hangout, right? And I don't know if it was Michael Edwards or was it someone else. He hit me in the hangout and he says, "What's up?" And I say, "What's going on, bro?" He says, "Hey." That's what he says. Hey. I says, "What's going on, bro?" So he says that he's on his phone, right? And so when he says he on his phone, he don't know that the hangout will actually tell you if somebody was on the phone because it'll give you a phone image or it'll give you a computer image. So he goes on and he says, "Yeah, I'm on my phone, man, and what's your number or whatever?" And so I give him my number, right? And so when I give him my number, he said he got this some type of Galaxy phone or whatever the case. So when I give him my number, he sent me a message. Now Michael Edwards really been had my number, to be honest, right? And so when he did that or whatever, I say, well, okay. He texts me, and when he texts me, a number come up, and it's talking about a access code or something like that. So he tells me, he was like, "Hey, what's the access code? Give me that code or whatever," because some excuse he said. And so I'm thinking in my mind, like, he did it twice. And he was like, "What's that code saying?" or whatever, that access code or whatever it was. And so I immediately blocked him because I'm thinking in my mind, like, why is it that you sending something to my phone, and then once it comes to my phone, it gives me an access code, and then you're asking me for the code? It seems to me that you're asking them for a code to access something that's in my phone. So I just want y'all to know to be careful of that, because I don't really know if that was Michael Edwards or who that was, but anybody that's sending something to your phone that needs some type of access code, that's kind of weird within itself. And I don't play games like that, so I blocked
that's the one trying to break into your Google account, and I'm gonna tell you why. When you go into a Google account, if you have not signed into that device ever, what it will do will ask you for authentication on two things, either on a secondary email address or on a phone number. Now, that's the reason why he asked for your phone number. When you go to a Google account and you sign it in from a PC that you have not signed into, they will ask you for your phone number. Once you put in the phone number, the Google server will send you an SMS message with a response code. That code he's asking for gets him into your account without him having your primary password.
Right, and that's what he did. He asked me for an access code.
Yeah, so it was an attempt to break into your account. Yeah. It was an attempt to break into your account.
Right, so that's basically the type of stuff that Michael Edwards is doing. And what's crazy about that is I'm gonna tell Sonetta about that, because he associates himself with Sonetta, and I speak with Sonetta personally sometimes, you know, within inboxing him and different things. You know, I got his number, and so sometimes he may tell me not to be on the foolery when it comes to joking with these guys to deal with the information. But look at the type of stuff that this guy just did to me, what he tried to do. So I blocked him, because I'm not a fool that when you basically try to get access to my account.
Did you give him any of the codes?
I never gave him anything. I blocked him immediately.
Okay.
But see, what you gonna have to
try to do that though?
But you gotta understand, who is he? I mean, I ain't trying to be funny, but who is he dominion for? See, what you got to start realizing is just because I used to talk to Sai too. That don't mean nothing. These dudes will rock you to sleep with that so-called we cool, we talk on the phone shit. I mean, it curse like that, but they will rock you to sleep with that. And then one dude will be playing that they will play you if you not sitting there with your eyes open, your spiritual eyes open. They will play you because one will be playing good cop, the other one will be rocking you to sleep, the other one will be coming at you like he got beef with you. That's the game. So you can confide in this one to be like what you just said. See, I'm gonna go talk to Sarnetta. You don't know Sarnetta sent him to do
I
it.
wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, leave that stuff. Stop trying to be. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. My granddaddy told me a long time ago, and my granddaddy said that friendly shit'll get you fucked off, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? Everybody ain't your friend.
Yeah, I really do. I really do. I'm gonna be real. I really do sense an entity within all those individuals. Like, I wouldn't even blame them. Like I said, we're talking about the cause of that right now. It's the fact of our carnal mind and our flesh. I mean, you've seen it when Christ was on Caesarea Philippi. He asked his disciples, "Who does man say that I am?" And it wasn't that there was anything in Kepha, but the fact that he agreed with them showed that he was agreeing with the Spirit. But when he says no, he says, "Get thee behind me, Satan." So it's not the individual that we're really warned against, as we said before. It's really the carnality of that person. When that person get in the flesh and they say, you know what, I want to destroy this person, they took off God mind and they put on carnal mind right then and there. And then the rule in the Bible is that, as Paul explained, that mind is enmity against the Most High. Therefore, if the person puts into their forehead in their right hand that I want to do something to this person that is against what the Most High has said, then you know they're going to attack you at that base. They're attacking you thinking that they're going after you because they don't like you or etc. But the truth is they want to hinder the word of God that's pouring out of you. They're unaware to them.
And not only that, and I'm gonna keep it real. You dealing with some dudes that, and I'm gonna just keep it funky. If you from the South or you from the Midwest, they automatically think you stupid. Off top, you got to go back to the red pill quote. In New York, we the thinkers. Everybody else is the soldiers. So basically, they the smart guys. Everybody else is just the dumb grunts. This is how they think. This is how they treated them dudes when they went to Norfolk, Virginia with them dudes. That's how they was acting with them dudes. So you gotta. That's the biggest thing we are messing up at, trying to befriend somebody. The scripture tell you can't eat of the cup of demons and the cup of Yah. You can't do it.
Right. But you know what? You know what I realized too? The reason why I said, because see, what I do is what I said I was gonna do is I was gonna let Sarnetta know and tell him so he can feel ashamed of that and see that this is the very person who you who you allowing to come on your platform that's doing the very schemes this among you, and expose that, because that needs to be exposed. Because I'm gonna do a show about that. My next show is gonna be dealing with Michael Edwards and what he tried to do tonight, because that was ridiculous. And I imagine that not only did he do that, but what else is he hacking into? What else information did he's doing? Because that is agent stuff, and that is ridiculous.
Yeah, but you know what, also, though, LeRon? A man who lives in strong filth fails to smell the weaker smells. And what I mean by that is that I think that you're dealing with individuals who have been around the filthiest of filth, I think, in my opinion. So if you bring something up like this, if the smell won't be any stronger to them, it won't phase them. Like you're
right. You have to cut you off, bro. But you're dealing with somebody who he cool with polite, bro. I mean, if you think you're I'm gonna tell something, he cool, polite. I shouldn't have to say nothing else.
Yeah, if somebody did the worst atrocities and then they turn around and think they're gonna take this thing seriously, it's not gonna happen unless they tried to use that to their advantage. Now that will be a sign to me that something will be wrong. It will be like, well, wait a minute, you're still cool with someone who did these atrocities, and if I bring this to you, you're gonna put this on the front. That means you're trying to use it as a chess piece. Like you're trying to use it to your advantage, or you're up to something. I would not trust that.
Exactly. And like you just said the key thing. What does Sarnetta always talk about? He played chess. This is why I keep trying to tell you. You gotta start realizing. You gotta look. My grandfather told me every interaction with somebody else that's not in your circle is war. The problem is you view everything from a friendly standpoint. I look at everything as war. I see the world as a game of chess. That's how I see. Like that's how I was taught to see everything. So I sit back and I watch folk. And I sit back and say, how does this person view me? And how could this person try to use me to benefit them? Because we live in a see a fool, use a fool society. So if a person can see you as oh, this person, this is how they talk. When there ain't nobody around, they're amongst each other. They basically talk like, oh, that's stupid. I got this stupid nigga over here. This nigga think that's how they talk. So once you understand how these people think, you gotta say you either gonna feed their agenda or you're not gonna even play ball at all. And be on some renegade stuff. So I'm just gonna do renegade.
Yeah. The idea that you had, G, that you said you want to do a show about it and expose it. That's I stand by that, because you're exposing the beast system. But I wouldn't interact and associate and trade.
Right. And so, man, that's what he tried to do, man. And I just wanted to let y'all know out there that these are the type of people that we got to watch out for that's doing those type of things, because that's just all the way ridiculous. And what's crazy about it is because, y'all know I'm very humorous. I may do my little roasting session, but at the same time, I run a ministry that I deal with as far as dealing with the scriptures. And for him to try to go in and try to get into my account like that is kind of weird that he would even do that. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be just up front with you. When somebody does something like that to me, that makes me really want to physically harm them when they do that, because I feel like that you're trying to devastate or you're trying to harm me and doing something like that. So really, I stay away from people like that, because that's just the weirdest thing to me, that he would even try to do something like that. And this guy is pushing almost his in his 40s, and he's still acting like a child, looking silly. You know what I'm saying? Up there with that yard with no grass, with that short roof. And so, it just makes me upset. But
But that's the I'm gonna tell you something, man. To go into your email, that is no light matter. Like probably back in the 90s, email was like a little luxury of people, and not many people use it now. I mean, it's like as bad as somebody going into your bank account or I mean, shoot, they can go into your bills and your finances, and they can look at your credit scores if you get alerts and stuff and things of that nature. And I'm just saying, I mean, we're all human. I mean, let's say if your wife sent you something, like that's just crazy. Like, why would you attempt to break into someone's email and just? The only reason will be to exploit them. It's not that they're on your for you looking out for your best interest. If that was the case, they would have said something along the lines of, "Hey, LaRon, there's a phishing email going out there where somebody can hack your account. Just look out for it in your email." The only reason to try to break into your email account is basically to exploit and to cause harm. Like there's
right,
no
and you know what's
other
crazy about that?
What's that?
What's crazy about that is because if someone is doing something like that, I wouldn't even want to associate myself with that, because I'll be looking and saying, this person could be doing me like that. In other words, because you can go into somebody's email and look at their email and cause all types of threats and harm, and also, like you say, credit fraud, all types of stuff that they can do and get into their security. And I just think that why would somebody even do that? Like that's just retarded. And when he did it, I'm just looking like, I hope he know that I'm not no type of idiot that this thing just said that your Google account and this and that, and then make it so bad. He's doing it from a different number that's not even his number. It's from another number. And so, you know, I'm just looking like this dude is an agent, man, and I'm gonna expose this dude. And when I expose it, I'm gonna send it to Sonetta, and I'm gonna let Sonetta know, dude, you shouldn't even be friends with a dude that is doing stuff like this, because this is a straight scam and it's straight ridiculous, man. And it makes no sense that he's doing that. And everybody knows half the time, from Sonetta to all of those people that usually time when I do a show, I'm not lying about that. This person did that. They know I'm not lying. This person actually did that. I have no reason to lie about that. And I'm gonna show them, y'all need to stop keeping what you call company with people that's doing stuff like that.
I know you, Laurent, and I know that you know how to use a phone and gadgets and things, but I know that you're not 100% tech savvy. You know what I'm saying? Because I know we talk and everything like that, and everything that you described to me, I know how Google authentication works, and I know you're not lying about that. The way you described that, I actually just had to do that for one of my other Google accounts the other day. That was an actual attempt to break in. I'm just gonna be real with you.
Yeah, and I figured that's why when he did it, I said, this dude he must think I'm stupid or something. I immediately blocked him. I'm like, this dude ridiculous, man. Like, I can't believe he tried to do that. And I sat here the whole time thinking about it and just said, man, I'm gonna expose him, because that's the right thing to do. Because if he did that to me, then he's doing that to other people. And this dude is, and I keep telling people that this dude is psychotic, man. This dude is actually going around, and he say he got a job. How you got a job and you going around doing this to people? And I wonder if your kids and your wife actually know that you're doing stuff like this. Because that's kind of weird, because if my wife and my kids knew that I was doing stuff like that and they was a little bit older, and this dude got like 8 kids, if they knew that, then they will expose, they would look and say, Dad, that's kind of weird that you're doing it. That, like, kids play games like that. And so it's time for the community to start looking at the people that they keep in company with and start telling them people, hey, look, bruh, you cannot be doing that, because I cannot associate myself with people that are doing stuff like that, because that look bad on me, because people will think that I'm scandalous because I'm associating myself with you.
But Laurent, you're not getting what me and Kevin were just telling you. You're talking about turning it over to somebody that is cool with Polite. How much do you know Polite can't go back to Chicago from scamming?
But I'm doing it for a reason, though, D-Red.
But what I'm trying to get you to say, okay, you turn the information over to Sonetta. What you think he gonna do with that? The same thing he did with Polite when Polite was scamming. Same thing.
Yeah, he's not going to disassociate.
Right. But look, this why I'm doing this, because remember that time where we had that thing where we dealt with Uncle Keck, right? And we told Uncle Keck, me and Israel Doctrine. I told him, I said, now you know that everybody in the community look at you as a little bit of an elder in the community. So you got to start walking like that. You can't be around here thinking you some type of young Thundercat talking to people crazy, these little youngsters, because they will get the best of you, especially when you're getting up in age here now. And so I told him that. I said, because I've never said anything disrespectful to you or disrespected you or called you out your name or anything. And and also Israel Doctor came back and told him. So what we did was we pushed that in the community. And we told Unc, and we did shows dealing with his character. And guess what Unc did? Unc came back and he said, you know what, I apologize for that. And Unc cleaned his act up for a while, for cleaned that act up, and didn't do that for a while, a long time, until like recently when that stuff kicked off with Young Pharaoh and some other people. Then he started back doing that again, where he calling people bees and all types of stuff. But he had stopped that stuff because he realized people looked at him in the community as a pillar. So what we got to do is expose that and hold those people in the community
that say that they are pillars to be looked at and say, well, hold on for a minute. If you associating yourself with this person, right, and keep pushing that. So when Israel Doctrine kept pushing that stuff with dealing with Sinetta, with Polite, and all these other people, now when we have people come together petition and say, well, hold on for a minute, Sinetta, or hold on for a minute, y'all consistently keeping company with dudes like when you look at Michael Edwards, or when you look at Polite. Now,
hey, LeBron, I want to ask you, not to cut you out, I want to ask you a question. Can you prove that Michael Edwards did it?
Yeah. And see, yeah, and see, here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about it is too, D-Red. People know that when I say something, right, or when I'm revealing something, they see my prior show, they know I'm not lying. They know that because I don't have nothing to lie about. It's out in the open. They trust me. A person would trust me more than they gonna trust a Michael Edwards because they know that they scandalous. And when they see me saying something, I'm not out here with assets. I'm not out here doing shows just to gain assets. I don't even have assets. I don't have nothing to gain. I just want to teach the people and do the right thing. So they know that. So when you look at a person like Michael Edwards compared to me, it shows that his character is so flawed and so ridiculous. Who they gonna believe? They know I'm gonna be telling the truth because.
But you gonna have people that he cool with that's gonna be like, G-Con is lying. You know, I mean, you gotta think. You know what I'm saying? You gotta think if you can't prove it, and all you got is what you said. That's not gonna be enough to get people to be like, whatever. They're gonna be like, oh, man, that nigga said that. All you gotta do is say, but I didn't do that, and that'll be the end of that. Like, so you gonna need proof. I mean, everything that has to be said, bro. You gonna need proof.
And you know what's crazy though? You know what's crazy though?
If that's the case, then it makes sense why, if it was at words, it will make sense why he will send it from another number, because you can't show screenshots from his text, from his number saying this is him, this is the message he sent me.
But I got his what's called though. I got his profile. He sent me the message under his profile, right? And so he sent me messages prior to under that same profile. You know how he always send that spam every time he do a video.
Right.
So in his message, he sent me that. Then he sent me in the message, he said, hey, send me back that number, that access code or whatever, because my phone ain't this and that or whatever. So then I'm looking at it, I'm saying he's so stupid because it's saying right here, you ain't even on your phone, you on your computer. So you just lied right there.
Well, wait a minute. Let me ask you something. The code that you received, was it through your text messages?
Yep.
Okay, that's a sign right there, because only your number is associated with your Google account. If there was something going on with his number,
send it to his number.
Right. Now, this could be a scenario. This scenario could be the case. He could have, let's say, for instance, his phone was messed up, or he don't have a phone, and he needs to get into his Google account, but he doesn't have a phone for it to relay the message to. You can't put somebody else's phone number for those messages to go through.
But why was he? But listen, why was he asking me for my number though?
I don't know.
That's what.
And you got to take in consideration. He called him from a phone and said he was on his computer.
Well, actually, he said.
Hold on.
See, what's crazy? Michael Edwards already had my number though.
Right, but the other scenario could be this. The only way. But the reason why they would have you ask for your number is if you go to Google and you go to a sign-in page, you can do forgot password. And when you do forgot password, I believe you can enter a number there.
But usually when I go to Google, they're gonna either send it to my email.
Right.
Because you can retrieve it via email, you can retrieve it via text message.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not gonna give you an access code. It's gonna give you a code, it's just gonna give you a quick code, so you can change your password.
Right.
That's all it's gonna do. It's not gonna be an access code. It's just gonna be a code to pass. So if it was an access code, it don't, because that code don't give you access to your account. It just gives you access to the place where you change your password at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That does get you access to the account. When you put that code in, when you put your phone number in and you ask for that code, it sends an SMS message to your phone. Your message to your phone, it sends you a 5 or 6 digit code. Then when you put that code in, it gives you access to change the password. Once you change the password, if you're on Chrome or if you're on IE, it will ask you, would you like to save the password for this login? Or you could just remember what you changed it to and just log right in. You're in the account. That's it. You in the account. You got the password, you changed the password, you got the account ID, and you in.
Right. So I don't know what he tried to do, but yeah. So let's get back to the topic at hand. I just wanted to briefly just tell the people what the brother did, man, so they can watch out for that, because there was something weird behind that. And plus, the whole time he was just acting weird. You know what I'm saying? And so he's on this vendetta, and he runs around and he trolls. And you got a lot of these brothers that's doing that in the community, man. All they do is to sit up and just troll and figure out what type of way they can get some dirt or get some info on somebody to damage their character. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's what this brother is involved in doing. You know, he's an agent for Satan himself. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to bring that out. But in regards to chapter 11, right, when we start dealing with this New World Order, you know, that we see, I think I brought out some things when it concerning Josephus earlier. Well, in a class that I did before, on how Josephus was mentioning certain things concerning this government that they had set up. Somebody might need to mute their mic if they just came, but I don't know who that. About how Josephus was setting up this government system that we see. I mean, not Josephus. He was talking about a government system that they were setting up during this New World Order. And I talked about this briefly last night, and I keep making emphasis on Egypt because these Kemet people, they don't realize that came up out of this mystery Babylon system, and Kemet is a part of this beast system. It's one of those empires that we see that was a part of that system, because we could see how they set up their civilization by way of, you know, them putting their kingdoms on trading routes, and also protecting those boundaries or borders. And also, you know, I've heard people say, well, they started in the South. Well, if you talk about the outer African migration or the outer African theory, those people would have had to migrate from the South to go up, and then they say, well, some of those people came back. Well, or some of those people stayed and some of those people came back. Well, in the process of those people going back up, they would have had to take those people's land that had went out, if you believe in the out of Africa theory. So when the pre-dynasty kings came down into the Nile, up into the Delta, down into the Delta, northern Egypt, they would have had to take a lot of those boundaries from people that was already situated in those places. And that's what we could find in the archaeological records. We could find that. We could find them setting up different boundaries. We can even find out why they was getting into it with the Nubians that was in the Sudan and those people that was south, due to them wanting to cut off the boundaries or the borders. And those people that was in the south, they was trading with those people that came up through the Red Sea to the Nile Valley, and was trading with them that was in the south from the east and also from India, and somewhat the people that was traveling the coast to come around into those areas. They would have had to met those people that was in the south first, and then also meet those people and drop off to those people that was in the northern part of Egypt. So when we look at it, it's really about economics, politics, and religion. So when you look at the normal palette, I said last night, I made a statement that Egypt was one of those nations. And this is why when we look at the Father, the Most High, he sends Israel unto Egypt, right? But when he sends Israel into Egypt as a young people and 70 souls, he's going to bring Israel up out of Egypt. But when he bring them up out of Egypt, he's going to put down Egypt in the way that in that system. He's going to put it down. So that was the first nation that we see that he put down. It was Egypt, and he contested the false gods and brought judgments of the on them, and by making Moses a god unto those people to contest those false gods, those false deities. So he was a god, he was an Elohim. He brought judgments by the power of God unto those people. That's what we see. So God brought judgments unto them, and then we see the Assyrian Empire, which is next, which we're going to deal with just as well. There was up in the north who was doing a lot of wicked things. Then when we start looking in Ezekiel chapter 30, 31 and 30, then we start seeing that he's dealing with the Assyrian when he talks to Egypt, referring them to the Assyrian and how he put down the Assyrian and how he was going to deal with Egypt just as well. The later Egypt that we see before he dealt with them when he came with them also when they came out of Egypt. So I just wanted to bring that out. That's the reason why I reference Egypt, because when we look at it, they done nothing that we see that when the beast system or those people that came over here to colonize America have done. The Europeans or the Gentiles that we see, they've done the same thing. The way they rule is up under the same. It's the same way. Divide. Basically, what they do is they come in with their religion, or so to speak, with whatever the case may be. They may say, well, they Christians, but in reality, they not really Christians because they doing things that's not Christ-like, or the Christ say that you should never done, and they doing right. So they got in their mentality, if you can't beat the Christian movement, then join it. And that's the whole thing. If you can't beat it, then join it. That's the mentality. If you can't subdue that type of movement that's going forth, you have to infiltrate it by joining it. And so that's what a lot of those people did when they came over here. And so when we look at it, right, we have to look at that system and have to say, well, hold on for a minute. From the beginning, it was built. The foundations was built weak. It wasn't built right. So when you have to question the way that they're dealing with how they dealt with those that were slaves and our ancestors that were slaves, and also how they dealt with people, the Irish, for instance, how they manipulated them into building the new world. And how they went into slavery, how they dealt with slavery just as well too. So this is a mentality of servitude that they have brought, right? These elite, and these are just not Europeans. It's an amalgamation of people, because when we look at the book says that these are beasts, and these beasts are a mixture of people. When we talk about the lion, when we talk about the leopard with the wings. These are when we talk about the image that we see, as well as going to Revelation 17 when we start dealing with the kingdoms of this world. So when I said that Egypt was a part of that beast system, I wasn't lying. They ruled that system for going on 3,000 years. Pre-dynasty Egypt, when they ruled up the Nile Valley. And guess what they came by? By way of religion, because they was dealing with a priest, by way of economics and politics, because they believed that they divinely came from these gods. And they believed that they was basically these demigods that was born of the gods. And they had the words of the gods, of the Netchers. But I think the brother Ecclesiastes wanted to add something to that too. We got the brother Mac in here too. So go ahead, Ecclesiastes.
No, I was just going to add to the whole Sarnetta thing, but if you want to get off of that topic, I ain't going to jump back on it.
Okay, if you want to add to it, you can add to that real quick and briefly.
Well, you said this man hacked your phone. I mean, tried to hack your account, and I've gotten the same type of messages. Are you sure you didn't try to log in from another device? Like your wife phone or something?
No, he sent that to me. He sent it to me.
Oh,
And actually, yeah, he sent it to me and asked me what was the access code that I gave him. I mean, did they send to my phone?
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, he sent that to me.
Got you.
Right. And so I have a message in my inbox where he's telling me, hey man, I'm working off my phone. And I don't know, such and such or some stupid stuff. He said, he was like, so what's that? He said, what's your number? So I gave him my number. Then he says, what's the access code that they sent you? And I'm like, huh? So in my mind, I'm thinking, because it said the Google number, the Google access code. So I'm like, nah, dude, like I blocked him immediately. Like I said, I don't know if that's what he was specifically trying to do, but I believe that that's what it was, because when he first inboxed me, it sounded kind of weird. So I'm not doing none of that, you know. So
yeah, he tried to get you.
Yep.
That's what
bro.
Yeah, because you could easily, like, if that was the case, I would just grab my wife's phone and do that with my wife's phone.
Right. So why did he do it with me? That's kind of weird.
Yeah, to contact somebody states away to be like, hey, do this for me right quick. Like, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of crazy. But well, go ahead, LeBron. Well, I wanted to comment on what you said about the B system thing, but
we got all right. So I want to let Matt comment, and then you can go ahead, and then we got Brother Jay. I think he want to say something too. But go ahead, Matt, because I know that I seen that you want to say something.
No, I've been it's been a while since I talked to you, J-Con. I didn't know you did hangouts too, so I just wanted to chime in as far as seeing what you guys were talking about. But I haven't been here in a while, so I'm just listening for right now.
All right, go ahead, Kevin. I appreciate you, Brother Mac.
yeah, it was just something small. I mean, I was going to acknowledge and say that you were right about what you were saying about that system in Egypt, because when I brought up earlier that the beast system, not the beast system, but the law that he gave us, the commandments he gave us, he told us to keep us in our right hand and in our forehead, to occupy the space so that the beast system, the beast system wouldn't take over. But all throughout Deuteronomy, if you notice, anytime he gave a command to say, do this and keep them in your forehead and your hand, he always says after that, for I took you out of the land of Egypt. And it was crazy how you said that, because that was the immediate thing he reminded them of, or Moses had reminded them of, as soon as he told them a commandment from God, for he took you out of the land of Egypt. So it was like an instant comparison of, this is how you're supposed to conduct yourselves. This is what you're supposed to do. This is how you're supposed to act. And remember, he took you out of Egypt, so don't act like an Egyptian, but don't abhor an Egyptian either. So I just find that interesting.
Go ahead, Brother Jay. Did you want to say something?
No, I ain't had nothing to add. I was just letting you know I was back.
All right, cool. So when we look at this whole thing right here, right, we see that and this is what I want to see. I want to show y'all real quick, because let me see something real quick. Y'all see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, we see it.
Hold on. I don't know why this let's see. All right, so when you look at my screen, right, I like what Dake said about this. Watch what he says. Let's go down a little bit more. I want to highlight. I don't know why this thing. The battery must have went dead on it. That's what had to happen. Let's see. Hold on. Oh, there it is, right there. Battery go there. Hold on, you guys. All right. I think the battery went dead on this mouse for some reason. Let me see. Take the battery out of here.
See if that'll work. What is this? That's crazy. This thing just went dead or something. The battery going dead on this mouse. All right, so I'm gonna have to use this pen. Yeah, the battery went dead on this mouse. So look, when you look at this, right, I'm gonna highlight this right here. Y'all see that?
Yeah.
So it says, there are no words in the Hebrew for may reach, right? So we see that when you look at the text, it is italicized right here. May reach is italicized right there. So that means it most likely wasn't in the original text. And so, you know, that was added by the translators there. So it says, which means there's nothing in the text to suggest that its height was to be as high as heaven, right? Remember, this is a high place that they had made, and usually at these high places where you get this revelation or where they channel these deities at. Even with Israel, when we see Moses goes up to this mount. This is something that God, all of our gods, all of these gods are really deities that we see. When we start looking at these deities for us in these different nations, they're deities. Some of them are fallen gods. Some of them are what I mean by that, rulers or judges. When I say Elohims or Elohims or whatever, whereas God is the supreme ruler. But some of these fallen deities is what we call they're fallen and they apart from God, but at the same time that these people divine to these deities. We call them doctrines of devils, basically. They give them all types of weird doctrines. So it says the top would be dedicated to the heavens, and signs of the zodiac portrayed as visible objects of worship. Up until this time, the whole race not only had one language, but one form of idol. I don't know how to say. Idolatrous worship. Yeah, adulterous worship. When God confounded their language, they began to disagree on religion and other matters, branching off into sects and also parties. The reason why I say this is true, because after this dispersion that we see when they was dispersed, they begin to, if you cannot communicate with each other, right, you're going to have disagreements and you're not going to be able to build. And as we see that they was building something, well, it's a government system, as well as Josephus that mentions that just as well. He said it was a government system. So it was really a new world order that they was building, right? So how God can actually stop this building project, as well as physical and also a spiritual mindset, was to confuse their language. Because if one cannot communicate with each other, they cannot build. And that's what we see happens now. A lack of communication causes a lot of problems within relationships. When you're dealing with relationships, whether it's it's your spouse or just business relationships or agreements and stuff like that. So we can see that they agreed with each other to take on this type of false religion. So God confounded their language because they strongly agreed upon defying God with this strong religion. So I mean, with this one religion, one world religion, or one way of worship, God confounded that, right? So they start to disagree, and when they start to disagree, you got to understand the word. If in my language, this God may be called this, I might disagree with you and say, well, this God is called this. And so we getting into it about the name, when in reality, we're referencing to the same person, because we got to look at the epithets. We got to look at that. What is the description or the character of this? We might be talking about the same deity. But at this time, because we didn't have what we have now as far as the internet and different scholarship and archaeology to understand these different deities, you're going to disagree. You're going to separate from each other. And so after this separation, they begin to erect these monuments or these channel portables that we see all over the world, or these divine temples that they will go and divine
between divine in these temples, or these priests, which was the mediator between God and man, or between God and the other people that was in the village. And so they gave them these revelations when they went up into these high places. Upon when you start looking at these visible signs or zodiacs, these different signs, seasons or times, new moons, or holy days, or Sundays, when they will divine into these deities, right? And they will receive these revelations within these temples and come up out of these temples, and they will build their government and also their society with way of what they got from this whoever they divine to, as well as Israel did the same thing. God helped them to establish a government by way of these laws, statutes, and commandments, and also economics, and dealing with economics. God helped them to establish that thing. And so when we look at it, he told them don't divine into nobody else, right? Now, when we look at this whole thing, we can look and see that they were scattered, and they did this all over the world. Well, when we look at the very next chapter, God brings Abraham out from Ur of the Chaldeans, from the way of that expansion of that culture and that mindset that would have been taken on this one world religion, but in a different type of tongue, right? Those who retained that knowledge to build, because they were called the builders. That's what they was. They was the builders. And this is why we see.
Now you're getting into something crazy.
Why you say that?
Oh no, you hitting it, but I'm saying
Right.
you getting into it now.
Right. And so when we look at the builders, right? The builders, that's why when you look at your dollar, right? This is the God that they're talking about, because it's this social system, and the social system is defying God. So when you look at your dollar and you got these atheists, agnostics, and they're saying, well, we don't see the work that's at hand here. Prove that. It's on the very money that you spend, and you are a very slave to that way that we see on that social system. And it starts right here that we see at this building project right here. Let us make us a name so that we won't be scattered abroad, right? Because they need a name. Or when you look at even just to make this building or this stature that your nakedness might not be discovered thereon, what you're doing is you're building this monument, right? And this monument that you're building, which is the works of your hand, you're giving glory to while you're glorifying another deity. And you're divining to that deity, which causes you to even build how you're building. So this is the merging of heaven and earth, where God had already established or extended his abode or his heavenly place or lofty place unto us. Now you want to build with somebody else, and because that person is trying to extend or make an extension of himself and live through you, when God wanted to live through you the right way, where you wouldn't have this duality or these ups and downs. So we're looking at what you're looking at is the emerging or something that is tying to you to try to give you a revelation and be cohesive to you of heaven and earth. And this is so the priest was the mediator of this. So when those people went into those temples, right, whether it was of Israel or whether it's of the other nations that was divining into fallen deities, they was getting something from the spiritual realm to bring into the physical realm and to be dominant, to cause dominance over the other people by what they was getting from the spiritual realm, to cause them to function into the material realm. Whether it was causing them to understand something, to break the law of physics by the knowledge of something that was spiritual. This is what we call alchemy. This is what we call what we looking at people that are doing things, and this is spiritual alchemy. This is when we look at the coming together of heaven and earth, but in a negative way here, not in a positive way. because these fallen deities are giving these people information to conquer each other, right? And also to defy God. So when they went into these temples, they received this revelation, and they built it they may say, well, this is the oracles are giving us this information. We should go to war with these people, but we can only win if we make this weaponry, and we need this type of metal or to make these instruments. But we got to go and fight against this little country over here, so we can receive or get these minerals and get these elements, and then also chemically make these different magics to overcome the next nation, because that's what magic is. It's receiving revelation from the people that are on the other side, right? To cause the very nature that you see to be corrupt. I mean, to be disrupted by way of this magic. That's what they doing. This is what we talk about, potions or medicines or different things, to cause your very natural world to be affected by the information that you're getting from the spiritual realm, because they know how to work the physical realm, because they're dealing with the spirituality. So they know what potion or what mechanism to put together to cause your very physical realm to be disrupted by what they're giving you. I mean, if anybody want to add to that, or do anybody understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Man, you blowing it right up, man. Because when you mention that these are the builders, and that what you see on the dollar this is them coming together, says, let us build this. If you notice, remember when we first was talking about when you go against the law of God, when you go against the commandments of God, that causes division. See, building a nation under their God, and the reason why they building it is the counter to the separation that God causes. Because what did the Bible says? It says, the Bible says, Christ says, I come to bring a sword. But he says, I'm here to set a mother against father, see, it doesn't go against peace. But although Christ did say, I didn't come to bring peace, I've come to bring a sword, it goes against the nation building that is the carnal nation building that is against God. And when they're building this monetary fund, when they're building this monetary system and this banking system and this beast system, this thing is actually going against God, and it's a statement against God, basically saying you can't separate us from building a nation or a high place that we want to create. You can't separate us no more. So it's like it becomes stronger. So like man, it's deep. It's deep. And if you notice, these symbols and these things that they use on the money actually comes from the secret system that they used in the past. It actually has symbols of Egypt. Like, look at the Washington Monument. Look at everything that they do. Everything that they do is based upon that beast system that strengthened itself over time. Like even with Alexander the Great. When Alexander the Great left Greece, and he went and he took over all the lands, even among Persia and everywhere else around 333, he came back and founded Alexandria, and he reformed the whole entire system. He made the Serapis system, the worship system, all of that stuff. So like when we look at today, they still trying to do the same thing, the same exact thing.
I want to say respect G-Con for that. That's some deep research right there. And to add to what brother Kevin G was saying, I just want to say, the word Mason also adds into what you're saying. And next, I just want to see what's next underneath what you got highlighted, G-Con. Good stuff though.
All right, let me read that for you. Can y'all see it?
Yeah.
It says a Babylon description of the Tower of Babel discovered in 1876 indicates that there was a grand court that we see, which is not, what's the dimensions, a smaller one, inside of which was the platform with walls around it, having 4 gates on each side. In the center stood the tower with many small shrines at the base directed towards various gods. The tower itself was 300 foot high, with this decreased width in stages from the lowest to the highest point. Each stage was square. The first stage measured such and such, whatever, and then the dimensions basically. On the top platform, measuring was the sanctuary of the god Baal Mordak. The builders evidently finished this tower because the work was stopped. The builders evidently finished the tower because the work was stopped on the city only. One ancient Babylonian tablet reads, "The building of this illustrious tower offended the gods. And in a night they threw down what they had built. They scattered them abroad and made strange their speech. Their progress was impeded. They wept hot tears for Babylon." That's basically it. And it says the builders were supposed to have been giants who waged war with the gods. With the gods. Nimrod himself was called a mighty one, and the giants in Genesis. So that's basically what they're dealing with.
Hey, but notice though, it says that in their writings, they have a legend that the gods, or the plural, has separated them or scattered them. Right?
Right.
Did it say that? It says the builders evidently finished the tower because the work had stopped on the city only, as Genesis 11:4-8. One ancient Babylonian tablet reads, quote, "The building of this illustrious tower offended the gods. And night they threw down." See, this is wild. They see in their writings, they're acknowledging that they built the tower for a purpose and that the gods threw it down. This is no different from the Epic of Gilgamesh, when they say that the gods were upset and wanted to flood the whole city. So this is, again, I didn't know this, but this is a biblical story that has been confirmed outside the Bible.
Well, why do you think they're using plural? Gods.
Because people who didn't have an understanding of the one true God noticed that in their religious system, they always separated them into different entities. Or like for Egyptians, for example, they set them up to the Neteru, right? You had different aspects that they worshipped as gods or deified. And in other nations, they did the same thing. Like this god represented that, and that god represented that. So instead of them having an understanding of the one true God, they separated them and deified different aspects of the God. That's why when you notice Hebrew Israelites, I'm not saying us that we are that, but if you notice people of the Bible, they say the Most High God. Because the only way you could place the title Most High is if there's a hierarchy. So we have to define El Shaddai, the Most High God, the God of the high place. But notice that these people were trying to build high places. So it's like it's a battle there. It's almost as though the carnal man is trying to battle for the seat of God, but not fully understanding what that is. It does appear to be other entities that's controlling them or driving them to do something that they're unaware of. All they're doing is going on the whim of their own flesh. But they're unaware of what their own programming is carrying them to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're a robot and you program to go against God. You don't know exactly how you would do that because you know consciously know, but your programming of your flesh automatically does it. So all it takes is to turn you in to say, I'm gonna be in the flesh. And the devil or the entities know, okay, this man is gonna work against God for us. We don't need to do anything else. So automatically, out of our own pride, we do things against the Most High without even really knowing. That's why God, if you notice throughout the Bible, God always pleaded with us. He was like, how long would I deal with you? You really get to see what they're doing. Look what Christ said on the cross. They crucified him according to the plan that the devil wanted. And what did he say? Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. We don't know. We're ignorant of that.
I was also gonna say, what about Elohim though? If they're saying gods, could that tie into to Elohim?
You said if they said
Yeah, Elohim, right? That's
Elohim just means judges or rulers, basically, but there is a supreme El, though. So you say Elohim, it's really just dealing with judges or rulers, you know, and these are people that's of the divine council or beings that's of the divine council. But there's God is over, the Father is over that council. So that's why he said, if you notice, it says man has become one of us to know good and evil. And the serpent said they should be as gods, knowing good and evil.
mm-hmm.
Or he told Moses, I have made you a god unto the Pharaoh, because Moses is a ruler or a judge, and he's contesting or bringing judgments on those false deities that we would have seen that was supposedly bringing, giving Egypt a certain knowledge that they had. But yeah, let's look at something in
Hey,
and
can I say this real quick?
go ahead, brother.
Think about this too. God didn't announce. I don't think God announced to those people that He was coming down to basically spread them abroad at that time. That could also be an answer. And I think that's all I gotta say. Yeah. But I also want to know why these people were thinking gods so close to after Noah.
You said, why would they be thinking what again?
Plural gods. Right after Noah, basically.
What do you
Right,
mean?
because
Right
that's the thing. That's the thing that because there is more than one God. In other words, when you say God, when you say Elohim, right? Elohim means rulers or judges. So when you say that, when God said there is one God, we say that there is one true God, because you can't say that God is the God of gods, right? And the scripture says that He is the Lord of lords, or He's the God of gods. He's telling you right then and there that there is gods, but He is and there is a council. But He is the true God, because whatever any one of those gods is dealing with or truth comes from God. There wouldn't be no truth if it had not come from God. So when you listen to when you listen to the church, right? Mm-hmm. The church, they don't have that revelation. Or when you listen to certain people, they'll say, well, you have to clarify that, because when you're dealing with textual criticism, they'll point that out to you and say, well, hold on for a minute. When God says He is the only God, right? He's really saying that He's the only true God. And that's been expressed in other places, because even Christ says that He's the only true God. So, but when you look at it and you say that it says that, well, there's only one God, you better say there's only one true God, because the scripture is basically telling you that He's the God of gods. So even after the flood, they recognize that there is gods, there is rulers, there is judges. Because the scripture says this, says that. So we can't get it confused and look at it and say, well, after the flood, why would they say that? No, it's always been that. It's always been a divine council. It's always been gods, but there is a true God, because all truth comes from God. And if any one of those gods hold or rulers hold to some type of truth or counsel, it comes from the true God.
I got you.
And there's only one true God. So that's the whole thing with that. And so when you look at it, he's stating it there. So we got to be careful that, like when it says in the scriptures, when it says, I am the God, I change of not, and this is why Israel is not consumed. Well, textual criticism will make you change that up. And if you don't recognize that stuff, then you have to say, well, look at it and say, well, hold on for a minute. This has to mean something else. So let me get the true meaning to what this actually means and what this text is trying to convey, because God has changed up a couple of times when it comes to concerning His instructions. Now, what does it mean then? It means that He says, I am the God right? And he says, I changed not. Brother, what's called? You're going to have to stop sending me messages while I'm doing the what's called. I understand you putting the information there, but it's giving me a ring and I can't cut it off. Brother Brian. But anyways, you're gonna what happens is that here's the thing, like when you see that when he says that I am the God, I change not, he said, therefore you are not consumed, thou sons of Jacob. In other words, God is not changed when it comes concerning his promises. Now, if you don't fulfill what he says that he will fulfill, he's going to bring it forth either with your seed or with somebody else. But concerning his promises, he's not slacking when it comes to that. So that's what that scripture actually means. So therefore, the sons of Jacob are not consumed because the promises he made with their father. So therefore, he's always keeping some type of remnant because of the promises he made with Abraham now. And that's why the sons of Jacob are not consumed and not cut off entirely as a people because of Abraham now. So therefore, he's not changing that. He's sticking to that. Now, when it comes to his instructions on how he comes to bring about his promises, they have changed several times. And we know that because we look at the different testaments that we see, which Israel, when they broke their agreements, he had to bring about his way of how he's going to fulfill that a certain type of way. So we have to really get off into what the text is actually saying and be careful with that. But I wanted to bring out something with this Revelation 13 real quick. And what's called was bringing out some stuff. Brother Brian was bringing out some good stuff about the ziggurats just as well, because the ziggurats is what we would have seen within that Tower of Babel. And also, as well as when we look at the floor plans for Eridu, because most people believe that the site of Babel was actually Eridu. And when you want to look at archaeology and also building plans, you want to look at Sumer, because most people will say that Egypt predates Sumer, but I think there's evidence that it's the other way around. That Sumer predates Egypt, because when we look at the building plans, we look at a lot of the buildings coming from Sumer and their architect coming into the Nile Valley, as well as when we look at pottery within that time frame, we can see and look at where the expansion of the Uruk culture and also this the Ubaid culture expanding into the very areas of the Nile Valley, the Levant, and also into Europe just as well, Western Europe, because we can see the pottery and we can see where it came from. Now, when you look in Egypt, they just don't spring forth out of nowhere and just start building. We have their major buildings within the 2600 period, dealing with Doja and Saqqara, and also the complex that we see that was built down there, as well as the step pyramids. When we start looking towards the east and we look at the ziggurats and we look at Eridu and we look at the White Temple and the Temple of Anu, we start looking at that their same floor plans predates those that's in Egypt, which is in the 2600 period of Doja. So, and also Khufu just as well. So when we look at those pyramids, we can actually see that the same type of brick size that is being used even in the Doja complex, when you start looking at the two brick sizes that they use to build those temples, first starting by brick and then Egypt moving over to stone. Now, Sumer didn't have stone like that, and if they did have it, and when they did have it, you had to quarry it too far just to get to those spots, and they wouldn't do that. They would never do that. So they used what you call mud brick first, and before they used mud brick, they was using mud heap reeves and building their architecture like that by way of mud heaps and reeves, and then they started off using brick and letting it dry, and then when you see the brick coming into the Nile Valley, you see it in the Nakata II period, where they're making brick linings of their graves. They're building down, but we don't start seeing people building up into the 2600 period, and also somewhat of the Nakata III period, which is a mixture of Nakata I and Nakata II, establishing Nakata III. Now, when we look at it, these people start dealing with people that's up in the Delta, and when they start dealing with those people that's up in the Delta, then we start seeing that their pottery even start to change, and we see those people in the South mixing with those people that's up in the North and establishing what we see the Egyptian people that we see today, a mixture of those people in the south, and also those people up in the Levant. And when we look at certain wood or certain trees that was not native to Egypt, they got a lot of their building, the contractors that came in to bring in that cedar of Lebanon that was up in the Levant to help them build using the type of wood that was not native to the land of Egypt or the Nile Valley. Because don't let the Afrocentric fool you. They didn't have everything in Africa. They'll try to lie to you and fool you and tell you that they didn't even have lapis lazuli, which was in Egypt, that they used for us on the palettes, the cosmetic palettes that they used was not native to the land of Egypt, but was in Afghanistan and also in Iran, in that area, in those areas. So they begin to start trading with those people. So you always had a civilization being built upon different cultures of people with different ideals and dealing with science. Science does not start in the Nile Valley. Don't let them fool you. Science does not have a color nor a face. Science is put forth because people want to survive and they want to know things. And so when they venture out, one of the ways that they conquer nature is by way of different science, by way of learning on how to try to conquer that nature, or how to try to be in harmony with that nature by way of that of science, of knowing how these things work. So you can either work with it or you can overcome it. And so when you look at it, these are different ideals of people that have been dispersed outward and learned how to use the different elements that's in their land, as well as also use different chemicals to even evolve in their weaponry, or evolve in preservation or preserving themselves. And so if they didn't have those different type of things, or something, or when the land dried out, well, we got to use some type of mechanisms to make canals and cause these different type of waters to be able to be routed over to this area, so we can extend our territories, extend our boundaries. So it's all dealing with economics, politics, and religion here, right? That's what it's dealing with, and people don't understand it. So that's why I say that Egypt was one of those type of people just as well, as far as the beast system. And this is something that you won't hear from the Kemetics or from other people, because they don't want to expose this system, or this mystery Babylon system that we see that's out here. Now, I want to bring out something in 13. And you know what amazes me though? Because as believers, right, and we say that we have the truth, we really don't go hard for reals. We don't work overtime like the enemy work overtime.
You're right.
They saying it's an echo in here, so
is it? I mean, is it because I just unmuted my mic?
No, G-Con, you got the mic. I mean, you got the echo.
Right, but what reason why I got an echo is because when I'm talking, y'all got to mute y'all mics. Hold on for a minute. Let me see something.
No, when we talk, you got to mute your mic.
Okay, yeah, I got to mute my mic too. Yeah, that's right, because I got the echo. You're right. Go ahead, brothers.
Oh, now I was gonna say that. I mean, this everything you're saying is on point, man. It's like what these people were doing. I know you got off into which one's older as far as Egypt and Sumer. But the point is that what we have is like a snowball effect into an avalanche of this system. Like it started off small, but then as these ideas collect, so the technology in and of itself is like one of those symptoms or those signs of this collective, of this beast system. Because if you notice, you were talking about the methods of brick making that they were using. Although Egypt may be younger, they perfected it then. Quarrying brick, measuring out, building things. It's all about the builders. It's all about that craft. And that craft go hand in hand with the system. Like now, today, we throw up a building with engineering that's incredible. Like, forget about ancient. I mean, we engineer some, and we have some computer systems now and everything like that. So it's still, this system is growing. And in order for you to take over, to dominate, to expand your territory is by coming up with better technology in order to do that. So everything you say, even from the ancient times, if you think about it now, that's what it's all about. Like, look at the nuclear proliferation. Look at the fact that they don't want North Korea to have an ICBM that can carry a nuclear warhead. Why? Because it's about hindering one nation's technology and having an advantage over another. It's whoever's a superpower based off of that. That's what the Cold War was about. The Cold War in of itself is proof of that. Not one shot was fired, but it was a race between the USSR and the US during the 60s about who had the best technology and who was going to be a part of this beast system, because other superpowers can interrupt the flow of another superpower. That's not to say that they are good, but that's to say that they can interfere with the plan. And that was the thing. They didn't want that other superpower to emerge. So that's why you have what was going on through history, like you were putting with Egypt and the borders of other people.
Right, definitely. And then this is what I was gonna say. When you guys see that you got brothers on this panel, you know what I'm saying, and they dropping the information, and we bringing the information to y'all. As believers, man, we can't be lazy, man, because the enemy ain't lazy. So when you see that we're dropping this information, y'all need to share the link, because it shouldn't be to where we got 12 people watching and we're dealing with information like this because you guys ain't sharing the link. But then when you got these other demons out here, to say, well, oh, this person is on, right? They sharing the link. They sharing it because the devil work overtime. And he work his work ethic is harder than the believers, because the believers ain't working. And reason why they ain't working is because they sit back and they not really putting the information out there that needs to be out there. Share the link, man. It shouldn't be to where there's 12 people just watching and Christians sitting up there, ain't no telling what they doing, right? But you got those that are unbelievers that's out there and they doing shows and they averaging between 30 to 40 something. And then you got these brothers that's on the panel right here now, and we giving the information and exposing the system, but you got 12 people watching and nobody's sharing the link. That's ridiculous, man. It should never be like that. Share the link. That's how it always should be.
I think the brothers have actually faded back, man, because every time they try to bring forth information, it gets twisted, and everyone has an answer. Even though you bring forth powerful information, every atheist, every black supremacist or whatever, the Sonettas and Brother Polites and all of these guys, they got answers, and they twist. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're saying, they like what they're saying because it doesn't involve your God with your rules and all this stuff that you're bringing forward. Even though you are bringing forth, you and Kevin G both are bringing forth devastating information. But me myself, I've grown lazy because everybody has an answer, man, and I'm tired of hitting the brick wall.
Right, but and I understand it definitely, but it should never get to the point to where, we look at one of their hangouts and it's they
got thousands.
They got thousands of listeners, but then when you look at the Christians, they say they getting down for Jesus, they getting down for the Lord, but they ain't sharing the link. Like when you even look in the Christian versus the Hebrew Israelites group or whatever the case, a discussion group, you got to where the Hebrew Israelites, they support each other. But then when you look at the Christians, there's no support there. They don't share the links. They don't do none of that. They just lazy. And so when you look at the work ethic within the Christian community, they just super lazy, man. No work, just bad work ethic. And so the enemy is working overtime and working 7 days of the week, right? Because he ain't resting on no Sabbath. Whereas even the Lord, Christ says, he says, my Father worketh hitherto and I work. Why the believers ain't working, man? Why they ain't working? Why they won't share the link? So then we got brothers and sisters like we did with Sister Raquel. She's sharing the link. Sister Cherry shared the link. But these brothers, they come and they don't never share the link. Especially when you got brothers that's on the panel that's dropping the information that needs to be heard, but nobody's sharing the link. But then you got these other devils out here, they ain't talking about nothing biblically at all. And when they do talk about the Bible, they taking the Bible and utilizing it for their own purpose and gain. And we ain't asking you to give us a dime. We ain't even got no accents over here or none of that. I ain't trying to promote nothing. But if it's some good music that somebody has worked on, far as Brother Jay, I do expect you brothers to go out and get that music and support, because it's good music that's uplifting for the soul and building the soul. But when you listen to these brothers, that's all they doing is promoting this bad music, ain't talking about nothing, acting like agents in the community, gossiping, they're spreading false, promoting for white supremacy, basically, because that's what they doing. They think that they building black supremacy, which is stupid, but promoting for white supremacy, which is even more retarded. Because how can you counter white supremacy with black supremacy? That's retarded. That's just ridiculous.
That's ridiculous.
Because now both of y'all psychology of what y'all dealing with is just it's ridiculous. Y'all getting it from Satanism, basically. So you know this, when we put information out like this, it shouldn't be to where the atheists can go and hold a whole discussion, and they got over 70 to 80 views, or the Dagger Squad go and hold a discussion, they got over 200 views, but y'all won't share the link. And y'all claim to be deep out here. Believers could claim to be deep out here. It's just pure laziness. And ain't nobody getting paid to do this at all, because I'm not even asking y'all for anything. I don't even get AdSense, ain't even on this page.
G-Con, you need to start fixing credit scores and stuff, man.
Right. Now, if I start fixing credit scores, I'm talking about natural things, then y'all with it. Or when I start getting on here and I start doing a roasting session, y'all like that. Y'all want to hear the drama. You know what I'm saying? But nobody wants to share the link when people dropping information that's like this. That's kind of weird to me, man. Y'all work ethic is just sloppy. Very sloppy. And y'all need to start understanding that. Y'all need to do the work. It could be something as simple as just pushing the button and sharing the link, or tagging people to come to the link. If nobody ain't tagged your page for you to come to the link, that's the reason why I don't really tag people, because I feel like that when I tag them, they ain't making the effort to come and watch it. But I'm going to still keep doing the work if only 1 or 2 people watching it. But it's just sad, man. Y'all sit up there and say, oh, we listen to you, but nobody is sharing the link. But I appreciate those brothers that sharing the link, because I see them and I appreciate that. So y'all wonder why the people ain't getting the message that they need to get, or people ain't getting delivered. Y'all ain't doing the work. Y'all don't want to do the work. But let me get to talking about I'm passing out prayer cloths. Y'all with that. Y'all been tricked on that. Y'all all in every type of church, letting them pass you them prayer cloths that they've been coughing on and and go take it and then go spread the word. Talking about thus said the Lord. Oh man, that's ridiculous, man. And that's why we defeated as the church. We've been defeated as the church, man. Right now, there's a great falling away. But the true believers recognize we got to work harder than what they working, man. We got to work harder.
Yeah.
Don't be sitting around, man, and ain't allowing the Lord to use you, man. Allow him to use you in every way. Because I'm telling you, man, if you ain't out here working, when we stand before God, when we stand before the Father, you're going to be judged for that. Because you got to give account for why you ain't out here doing the work. You sitting here standing around in the vineyard, just standing there and ain't doing no work.
Yeah. Imagine Abraham just getting all that revelation and then just sat there on the rock.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Definitely feel you on that. And it does suck because it be times like this where we really bring out some really good information, and nobody's really listening or here to listen to it or whatever. But
Man, like you said, it is a falling away too.
Yeah, it really is.
Where I live at, man, churches are empty. There ain't nothing like the 90s, man. People praising God and stuff. That it's getting real ghost town.
Right. And that's how you can really tell that people are really, that's how you could tell that people are really falling away, because they don't have no interest. They don't have no interest in stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just falling away. So when you look at them, you say, well, hold on for a minute. How is it that you got, groups like the Shield Squad, you got SOG, and then you got other groups out here. The brother just started One Way. You got One Way Apologetics, and then you got also the Narrow Way Apologetics, I believe. How is it that these brothers out here teaching are either other groups and you ain't they can't, nobody is subscribing to their channels, nobody is watching these brothers, but they putting out this good information. And it seems to me to where people will say, well, oh man, I mess with these different groups. Well, how is it that you mess with these different groups, but you won't even share the link on your page or in your Google Hangout? How is that?
Yo, G, let me say this one last thing real quick. Who listened to the conscious rapper, man? Everybody wants to listen to the gladiator, the beef, the gangster. They don't want to hear the conscious rapper. Common, Common and them, they got their audience, but they didn't do numbers like Tupac and Biggie and Ice Cube and them. It's the same thing. No one wants to hear the conscious stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's always going to be like that. I mean, if that's what's foretold and that's what's going to happen, then, I mean, the falling away is pretty much guaranteed. But I would say that G-Con, even you were speaking to me, maybe I could share the link more myself and try to get this out there so that people can listen. I really don't have a lot of people in my Google circle, but this is something that needs to be shared and put out there. But yeah, I agree, man. I definitely agree. And this is some heavies. This is the type of stuff that people do need to listen to.
Right.
People they do not understand how these religious systems came about and how this whole system came to be unless they understand these concepts from the very beginning, unless they understand the carnality of man and what causes them to go towards that. Because if people simply understood that their carnality is something that's within themselves that they don't really plan to do, but there are a few men who understand how it works. And because they understand how it works, they're able to, as my father put it, suggest things to you in order for you to do certain things. And this is what it is. What's that saying, LeRon, in the Bible, where it says that man is corrupted by what? The lust of the eyes. What's that saying?
It's the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life.
Right. So notice that all of those things there are inputs. So that there's men like in entertainment and marketing and psychology, even back then when it came to the symbols and understandings of their gods and their concepts, things that they use as far as natural rules and things in nature and animals that they use as a zoo figure or as some type of symbol. These are all things that play upon those things. Those are all inputs. And that's why Christ, like I said earlier, that's why he said what he said. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. Because it's whatever they put in them, it's what drives them, and they don't understand that. So when they see that money, think about it. Like, if you were back in the day, like I'm gonna say this to Ecclesiastes or you or anybody listening, if you were back in the day where people traded real things, like they traded salt for gold, they actually traded real world things, and then you saw in the future, like 2,000 years or so in the future, and you saw people fighting over a piece of paper or killing each other over a piece of paper that granted them some type of physical thing, some fleshly thing, or whatever it may be. And on it, you saw the symbols of a pyramid and the eagle and holding arrows and this whole, and you understand what they are. Like, that will make you flip. Like, why in the world are they killing each other over this? But it's like we're all under a spell now. We're killing each other over symbols of this beast system. Like, when you actually look at it, it's like, what the heck are we doing? It's crazy.
Right. And I wanted to bring this out real quick because I wanted to, before we close here. If you notice, chapter 13 of Revelations, right? It says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast, rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns, crowns, and upon his heads, the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Notice that? And his feet was the feet of a bear. So when we start looking at the leopard really deals with the Grecian Empire, because when you go back to the beast that's over in Daniel chapter 7, you can actually see that, and the bird deals with the Medes and Persians, and in his mouth, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. So when we start dealing with the mouth of a lion, then we start dealing with Babylon, right? So we start dealing with these 3 kingdoms. So we have the beast itself, right, which has the 10 horns, right? 10 heads and 10 horns upon his, 10 heads and 10 horns upon his horns, the 10 crowns, right? So it has 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns, 10 crowns. And so we also see the rest of the beast, right? Which is the leopard. And we also see the bear, and he has the mouth of a lion. And then we see that their power is given to them by a dragon. It says, and the dragon gave him his power, this beast, or the system, right? Because when we look at it, these beasts are looked at as peoples or empires just as well. And so this is an amalgamation of empires, right? Now, when we look at the 7, we talked about the 7, right? The 7 heads and 10 horns, we talked about that yesterday, because we talked about what came up out of the Mystery Babylon religion. And what came up out of the Mystery Babylon religion that was in Babylon was Egypt, right? And also Assyria, also Babylon, the Medes and Persians, and also the Grecian Empire. And then the 6 is the Roman Empire, and the 7 is revised Roman Empire up under 10 kings, right? Which is upon the 7th kingdom to rule the world, there are 10 divisions, which has 10 kings, which is the revised Roman Empire, which continued for a short space of time, according to Revelation chapter 17, right? So the 8th kingdom has, once the 7th kingdom continues a short space of time, because of the little horn that comes, which is the little horn over in Daniel chapter 7. And the little horn is actually the 8th kingdom that comes and plucks up roots up 3 horns of the out of the 7th kingdom, right? Because the 7th kingdom has 10 divisions and 10 kings. The 8th kingdom is established as the little horn in Revelation 17, and this little horn uproots 3 of those 10 kings within that 7th kingdom, and he becomes the 8th kingdom to rule and causes Israel to be oppressed, as well as the world just as well. So reason why I'm bringing that out is because these are amalgamation, and also these kingdoms being absorbed by the next kingdom that comes. See what I'm saying? So when you say the Roman Empire, it did not just consist of Roman Italians. That's not, Italian Rome. It didn't consist of that. It consisted of amalgamation of people. It has some type of mutual goal, some type of common interest among each other, and they built this empire. And the heading of this empire was Rome. So when you look at it, you had the eastern portion of Rome and you had the western portion. The eastern portion consisted of Middle Easterners, or some people that stretch as far as the Near East, because Rome, the Roman Empire, stretched as far as Babylon. So we have to look at that these are kings that have come together that have some type of common interest with each other, as well as dealing with religion, politics, and economics. So this is a money movement. This is an economic movement. If we ain't dealing with you or rocking with your religion, then we can rock with you as far as dealing with our political aspect and also economically, mainly economically, because we have something that we can build together, which is trade. But we have to build a language, which is a script for us to understand each other, because what happened at Genesis chapter 11, where the language was separated. So we got to find some type of means of communication so we can start back building again spiritually and also dealing with naturally. So this is dealing with the mechanics of building spiritually and also naturally. These two things are cohesive. This is cohesive. This is dualism. This is swords above, swords below aspect, as well as the Bible says, let the things that are on earth be likened to the things that are in heaven, basically. That's the concept. So when we look at it, right, what we're looking at here is powers becoming one. Let me go down a little bit. I ain't got my mouse, so I gotta play with this stuff a little bit.
You didn't replace the battery in it?
No, I gotta find some. I got some batteries in here. So, oh, there it is. It's working now. Hold on, let's see.
There you go.
There it is. Yeah. And he opened his mouth, and black. So we're talking about the beast here. So we know that the beast is a system and different empires that have been absorbed in each other and basically working together, basically. Because remember, these other kings will give their power unto this eighth king, right, in the last days. Now watch what this says. It says, and they worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast, because the dragon or the serpent, he gives power unto this worldly system, unto this structure. Remember, we talked about them divining into these deities, which give them this power to cause them to evolve in the natural world. Just like the Father gave power unto Israel, right? As we look at the Jacob, when we look at what his name means just as well too. So let's look at this. And they worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God. That's what the New World Order is, to defy God and blaspheme against God and say, let us break the cords and the bands from God. Let us break anything that ties God to this world. Let's break that. Let us be apart from God and establish our own without him, of what we think that is righteousness or whatever, which is really wickedness and also corruption. Now watch what it says. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints. And it says, and to overcome them, and power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations, and that all that dwell upon the earth should worship him, whose name are not written in the book of life, and the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints, because you're going to have to endure some stuff. So when we look at this, right, we look at the second beast. I just wanted to get down to something to show you something. It says in verse 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man may buy or sell save he have this mark. In other words, you can't even deal economically unless you take on this mindset, literally and spiritually. You can't even deal with, you can't trade nothing. So he controls your commerce. He's the commercial center. He is the World Trade Center. He is the Twin Towers, or the tower that we see, because that's what the tower was, the Tower of Babel. A religious, political, and economic system. That's why it says he was a mighty hunter. Because when you're talking about hunter, that's dealing with commerce. That's dealing with economics and food and resources. Because if you can hunt, you can bring that bread back to cause preservation. But man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceedeth out the mouth of God. That's how you really preserve yourself. Now, this mark of the beast deals with your economic system. This is what they're trying to establish right now. So I just really want to bring that out. And it says, and that man, it says, and that no man might buy, sell, or trade, buy, no man might buy or sell, save he have had the mark, or he has this mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. So, I mean, this is clear, man. Like, it don't get no clearer than this. So, I just wanted to bring that out and let y'all know what's really going on here. That way we can take that in consideration. But yeah, any one of you brothers got anything you want to say last before we close out?
Nah, I didn't have anything to say, bro. I was just enjoying what you were saying and eating.
All right, cool. So I appreciate y'all brothers, man, coming out. It's always a privilege. We're gonna close this out. Make sure y'all subscribe, and make sure y'all please get a chance to share this. And so you know, those that have not heard can hear. And basically look at this and take this in consideration, and say, in these last days we got some serious things going on. So with that being said, I just want to say peace. I appreciate you guys listening in and being patient out there. Make sure you guys subscribe. Peace and blessings.